Chapter 35. What's wrong, Ya Ubaid? Wu Ming asked. Wu Ming looked at Ya Ubaid, who was wearing a full body armor, and asked, Lord Vero. Lord Vero, you are an honorable supreme. These lowly humans are not worthy of your protection. Please allow me to execute them. Then Ya Ubaid raised the black axe in his hand. Wait a minute, Ya Ubaid. Wu Ming sighed helplessly. Whether they are worthy of my protection or not, let's talk about it after the crusade against the enemy. After a moment of silence, Ya Ubaid put down his axe. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. The sisters looked at the master and servant in front of them, as if they hadn't reacted yet, and didn't say anything. Fun Baba. Woo! With Wu Ming's order, Fun Baba behind him began to move toward the village. The scene changed, and the armored knights were still wantonly slaughtering the villagers. Screams, cries of fear, begging for mercy, and wild laughter were incessant. Ah! Suddenly, one of the knights seemed to have encountered something and let out a scream. What happened? A knight who seemed to be a captain and didn't have a mask on his helmet shouted. What is this? Don't come over. Ah! Many huge vines as thick as a person grew under the feet of the knights, and wrapped around the soldiers one after another. The knights screamed and began to pray to the gods. God, please save me. My God, ah! Lord God. Then, the knights who were wrapped by the vines stopped making any noise. Only the huge tree stumps formed by the vines were left. What the hell is this? The captain was still rational and began to issue orders. Prepare to retreat. Send the signal for the horses and archers to come over. However, it was already too late. The huge vines sped up their growth, and soon, all the knights' feet were entangled. Quick! Come and save me! Another guy, who was also not wearing a mask like the captain, shouted from the side. I'm not someone who should die here. Quick! Save me! No matter what, it doesn't matter if it's your health or anything else. Hurry up and save me! The squad leader couldn't believe that the guy who was yelling hysterically could be heard. Captain Balius, he said in surprise. Suddenly, a light, low voice was heard. Whoa! A huge green creature that looked like a bear or a deer slowly walked over. What is that? The captain, who was still rational, asked in surprise. The green creature stomped its foot, and the vines instantly wrapped around the wailing knights. In an instant, only the captain who was still rational was left. The sword in the captain's hand fell to the ground. He had completely given up. The vines had already wrapped around his lower body. Don't worry, those soldiers are still alive. The squad leader raised his head in surprise to see a young man walking over from afar. After all, I still need to obtain information from you. Wu Ming waved his hand, and vines began to slowly wrap around the knight's upper body. Is that so? Thank you for sparing my life. However, I believe that my companion won't do anything. Ugh! The vines had completely wrapped around the soldier. You're the only one who still looks like a knight. Wu Ming said calmly. The rest of the villagers fell into a dead silence. After a while, under the arrangement of the village chief, the villagers temporarily rested in the undamaged houses. The village chief, on the other hand, welcomed Wu Ming. In the village chief's house, Wu Ming picked up the simple cup of water provided by the village chief, took a sip, and listened to the village chief introduce the village. Khan Village. Is it? Yes. Khan Village's geographical location is not very good. It happens to be in the middle of 3 countries. The village chief said with a hint of sadness. After some questioning, Wu Ming lied that he was a magic chanter who cultivated deep in the mountains. Wu Ming originally said that he was a magician, but it seemed that in this world, people who used magic and magic were called magic chanters, so Wu Ming called himself a magic chanter. Wu Ming used information as a reward to offset the village chief's suspicion. After all, in this village where no one knew when something would happen, it was really hard to be at ease. According to the village chief, Khan Village belonged to the Restige Kingdom, and was located in the southeast corner of the kingdom. The Restige Kingdom, the Bahaz Empire, and the human supremacy of the Syrian theocracy were located in the middle of the mountain range that ran through the north and south. According to the map provided by the village chief, the kingdom was in the northwest corner, the empire was in the northeast, and the theocracy was in the south of the 2 kingdoms. Khan Village was in the middle of the 3 kingdoms. The kingdom and the empire were not on good terms, and there would be war all year round. The location of the war was in the plains near the border city of the Restige Kingdom, Yalantir. According to the village chief, the knights who slaughtered the villagers were given the Empire's badge, so it could be inferred that it was the Empire's so-called. However, Wu Ming felt that it was not that simple. After all, the village chief also said that the kingdom and the Empire were at war all year round, and there was no benefit for the Empire to slaughter the villages at the border of the kingdom. Moreover, these knights were praying to the gods before they were wrapped in vines. It seems that I have fallen into some conspiracy again. After asking the village chief for the necessary information, Wu Ming bid farewell to the village chief and went out. Lord Wu Ming. Bade had been guarding outside the door. As for Fan Baba, Wu Ming asked it to check if there were any other enemies in the surroundings. After all, the captain just said that he was going to send a signal. I have gathered enough information. In short, the underground tomb of Nasarick is safe in this world for the time being. Yes. What should we do with the inferior creatures that were captured by your magic beasts? Wu Ming pondered for a moment and asked. Summon the subordinates of Nasarick who have special invisibility skills and transport all the knights to Nasarick. Fan Baba just told me that there are still some knights nearby that have been captured by Fan Baba. Also, transport those knights to Nasarick and get more information from them. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. I will contact Demiurgos right away. Bade placed his hand on his temple near his ear and began to contact Demiurgos. All right, remember not to kill them first. Also, do some anti-reconnaissance work. After all, we don't know if these people have tracking magic or something like that on them. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. After saying that, Wu Ming walked away and began to walk around the village. As he walked, Wu Ming heard a lot of crying. Wu Ming looked and saw that it was the families of the dead villagers. Among them were the sisters that Wu Ming saved. They were crying on the corpses of their loved ones. Say, I am used to seeing people die. In the end, I still can't help but feel melancholy over tears. Whether it was in Connaught or Camelot, Wu Ming was used to seeing all kinds of deaths. In the end, Wu Ming still felt melancholy over these things. It wasn't that he was sad. It was just that he couldn't stand it. I remember that your name is Only, right? Wu Ming half squatted in front of the sister that Wu Ming saved. Yes. Yes, Lord. The girl named Only choked and said, Don't cry. In any case, I am a powerful magic caster. I have a way to revive your loved ones. As soon as he said that, the villagers who had lost their loved ones all knelt on the ground and begged Wu Ming. Lord Villo, please save my son. Lord Villo, please save my sister. All right, all of you get up. Move the villagers' corpses to an empty space. Hearing that, the villagers started to move. Bade, who had finished talking with Demirogoth, walked over and asked Wu Ming in confusion. Lord Villo, are you going to use a rare resurrection tool to revive these lowly worms? Hearing that, Wu Ming couldn't help but laugh. All right, Bade. Although I am not a human, I like humans very much. Moreover, I am going to use the resurrection magic that I have learned. I will not use a resurrection tool. Besides, I don't have one. But Lord Villo. All right, Bade. Wu Ming interrupted Bade's speech. If I die, you will definitely try your best to revive me, just like how these villagers begged me. Put yourself in my shoes and forgive my stubbornness. After that, Bade didn't say anything else. Chapter 36. The villagers had already moved the corpses to the village square. Everyone made way for Wu Ming and waited quietly for him to cast the spell. Although I also learned a resurrection spell because of interest, I have never tried it before. I don't know if it will work on these villagers. Wu Ming shook his head and walked forward. The sixth order spell, Angel's Return. Wu Ming accidentally saw this spell in Nazarik's library. In the Yggdrasil, world tree, magic was divided into 10 levels. There were 1st to 10th level spells. In Yggdrasil, there was also a supreme level spell, which was the 11th level spell. Supreme level spells were more like skills than magic. There were many restrictions. Not only did it take time to cast, but there was also a limit to the number of times it could be used per day, and it could not be cast continuously. The cooldown after casting could not be offset in Yggdrasil. Whether it was a Krypton item or something else, it could not offset the cooldown time. Of course, These were all obtained from Wu Ming's data memory. Wu Ming chanted the name of the spell, waved his hand, and a holy light rose into the sky. The light shot into the sky and gathered into a large sacred cloud. The cloud transformed into the appearance of an angel. A large number of sacred white feathers slowly fell on the villagers' corpses and integrated into the villagers' bodies. The angel made a sacred and indescribable sound toward the sky and dissipated. After the villagers' corpses merged with the feathers, the wounds on their bodies disappeared, and their skin color changed from pale to healthy. Under the villagers' excited eyes, the corpses that were originally lying on the ground opened their eyes one by one. The family members of the resurrected villagers, including Onli and her sister, rushed up with the villagers' cheers and hugged their family members fiercely. The sixth order spell is so powerful, it scared me. It seems that I have to go back to Nasarick to find some items to use. Wu Ming did not expect this spell to be so amazing. After all, the dragon thunder that Wu Ming used before was also a sixth order spell. Wu Ming, Sama, Yaoda has been waiting outside the village with the special forces. At this time, Yaoda walked behind Wu Ming. Stay low for now, I don't think it will be so simple this time. Yes. Wu Ming couldn't help but sigh as he turned to look at the villagers who were crying with joy. To be able to see you all so happy, my efforts have not been in vain. After all, ever since Wu Ming could remember, he had always thought that he was a human being. After knowing that he wasn't, Wu Ming still had special feelings for humans. After settling down the villagers who had just been revived, the village chief grabbed Wu Ming's hand and thanked him profusely. Thank you so much, Sir Villo. Wu Ming felt a little helpless against such a village chief. All right. Village chief, you've thanked me enough. Village chief, you've just suffered a disaster. You should go and arrange the situation of the village. All right, Sir Villo, thank you so much. Just as Wu Ming was about to say something polite, a villager suddenly ran over. Not good, village chief. A group of cavalrymen is approaching. What? This. Sir Villo. Seeing the village chief's expression, how could Wu Ming not know what was going on? I understand, village chief. Let the villagers hide first. I'll go with you to see what's going on. All right. After a while, Wu Ming and the village chief stood at the entrance of the village. A group of cavalrymen with different equipment rode over. The leader was a man in his 30s. The man rode his horse to the front of Wu Ming and the village chief and said, I'm Gejef Stolanov, the head warrior of the Riesti kingdom. I heard that there were cavalrymen from the empire causing trouble nearby. I've been ordered by the king to suppress them. I'm currently patrolling the villages. The head warrior of the kingdom, the village chief said in shock. Wu Ming looked at the village chief in confusion. The village chief hurriedly said, I've only heard that the head warrior of the kingdom is the strongest man in the kingdom. That's just the king's love and respect. It's just a title, not worth mentioning. Gejef looked at Wu Ming again. May I know who you are? Nice to meet you, head warrior of the kingdom. My name is Villo Silenst. I'm a magic chanter who was passing by and saw the village chief being slaughtered. I'm here to help. As if he heard something unbelievable, Gejef quickly got off his horse and walked to Wu Ming. He held Wu Ming's hands. Thank you so much for saving this village. Looking at Gejef's sincere eyes, Wu Ming was stunned for a moment. Seems like he's a good official who cares about the people. I'll save him. You're welcome, head warrior. Suddenly, someone from Gejef's troop ran over. Head warrior. There are many figures nearby. They're closing in on the village. Seeing this, everyone frowned. Seems like someone can't sit still. Soon, Gejef's troop and Wu Ming retreated to the outermost house of the village chief. Wu Ming looked at Gejef, who was observing the situation outside, and asked directly, Who are those people outside? Gejef retracted his gaze and looked at Wu Ming. To be able to mobilize so many magic chanters, it could only be the Seal Yen cult. And it's a special troop directly under the head priest, one of the Seal Yen cult's 6-color holy books. After hearing this, it seemed to confirm Wu Ming's thoughts. Seems like they're coming for you, head warrior. Gejef was stunned for a moment. After thinking carefully, he realized that they were really coming for him. Oh, I didn't expect the cult to want to get rid of me. After that, Wu Ming said with a smile. You're very lucky, head warrior. What do you mean? Gejuf was puzzled. Seeing that you have a good temper, I've decided to help you. Hearing this, Gejuf was overjoyed. Really, Lord Silenst? Thank you so much. After all, Gejuf and the others had learned from the village chief that Wuming had a very powerful magic beast. Then, head warrior, please wait for me here. As he said that, Wuming began to walk out of the house. Wait, Lord Silenst. No matter what, they have the advantage in numbers. Please don't be rash. Gu Gejuf still felt that it was better to be cautious and advised Wuming. Don't worry, head warrior. Also, just call me Villo. Silenst is too long. As he said that, he left the house with Yair and advanced towards the enemy. Lord Villo. Gu Gejuf looked at the two with a complicated gaze. Slowly, Wuming brought Yair to a very close distance with the enemy. The enemy did not seem to be afraid of Wuming and did not stop them. Suddenly, the atmosphere was tense. Chapter 37. Negan Gullible Lewin, as the head sergeant of the Light Scripture, one of the 6 color scriptures of the Celian theocracy, Negan never thought that he would fail or die in a place like this. After all, he was the head priest of the Light Scripture. The report said that the knight who was wrapped in vines was killed by the demonic beast under the command of that man. Negan looked at the man and woman walking over, and immediately gave an order. Attack! The other priests immediately took action. The mechanical creatures that looked like angels raised their lightsabers and flew towards Wuming and Yair. However, when these angels approached the two, they were destroyed by an invisible attack. They turned into starlight and disappeared in the air. What? Not only was Negan shocked, but the other priests were also shocked. The angel army was destroyed in an instant, and it was done using an unknown method. A sense of crisis rushed into Negan's mind, and he immediately summoned the High Angel, the Surveillance Angel, to go forward and meet the attack. Surveillance Angel! After hearing the order, the angel floating behind Negan, who was much bigger than the other angels, summoned a staff. Under Wuming's slightly crumbling expression, the Surveillance Angel used the short staff to smash down on Wuming. That's right, it smashed down with the short staff. Pang! Wuming grabbed the short staff and said with a forced smile, summoning a staff to smash people. I don't know what to say anymore. While everyone in Negan was shocked that Wuming caught the Surveillance Angel's attack with one hand, Wuming pointed at the angel in front of him. Heavenly fire. In the blink of an eye, the Surveillance Angel was completely enveloped by a large amount of holy light golden flames until everything was reduced to nothingness. What? The High Angel was hit in one hit. Negan couldn't believe his eyes. Wuming had been through so much, but he didn't have many means of fighting. When he was in Ireland and Britain, Wuming only relied on his own martial arts and the noble phantoms in his hands, namely the powerful X-Silver, Meteor Silver, and Yggdrasil, that could control plants and vitality, and some loon magic. In Babylon, Wuming, who transformed into a dragon, relied on the power of faith of the Babylonians. After all, after Wuming left, faith could no longer be used. That was the limitation of faith. The root dragon that was not in Babylon was no longer the Babylon Hyunryong, but the legendary root dragon. That was the limitation of faith. After that, Wuming came to this world. Thinking about it carefully, Wuming's abilities were as follows: martial arts and wisdom, loon magic, that he learned from Skaha, X-Silver, Meteor Silver, S-Light Cannon, Yggdrasil, S ability to control plants and vitality, Funbaba that fused with Yggdrasil, Enkidu's Heaven Lock that wrapped around his arm, and the magic that he just learned from Nazarik's library. Ignoring his martial arts and noble phantoms, in a situation where he was empty-handed, other than the loon magic and the magic that he just learned from Yggdrasil, World Tree Game, he had no other means of attack. Funbaba was included in the noble phantoms. Enkidu was still in a deep sleep because he was not used to the space-time tunnel. Although he was in a deep sleep, Wuming could still use Heaven Lock. The loon magic required the engraving of the loon runes before it could be activated. The invisible attack from before was the magic that Wuming engraved on the way here. Therefore, the only magic that could be used now was the magic in Yggdrasil, World Tree Game. After all, the 1st to 10th tier spells were all instantaneous. With Wuming's magical power as the root dragon, even if he was a young root dragon, his magical power was incomparably huge. At the very least, it would take him more than a year to continuously cast a 10th tier spell before he ran out of magical power, And that was excluding the fact that Wuming could recover his magical power. Logically speaking, Wuming should not be able to learn the magic of Yggdrasil, World Tree. After all, Wuming was not a player. It seemed that it was because of the bloodline of the root dragon. As long as there was a grimoire or someone to teach him, learning the magic of Yggdrasil, World Tree, was very easy for Wuming. By the way, although Wuming was often injured, the body of a young root dragon was actually abnormally tough. If Artoria wanted to break through Wuming's defense with Excalibur, she would have to use her noble phantoms. Moreover, that was only breaking through his defense. If she wanted to seriously injure Wuming, she would have to use an unknown but abnormally powerful black gas like Morgan Le Fay. Of course, ever since he was corroded by the black gas, Wuming's resistance to things like poisons and curses had basically reached the limit. To put it simply, regardless of the level of the poisons or curses in the world, they could no longer affect Wuming. This was the characteristic of the root dragon that was born from the root of all worlds. Otherwise, those that could transform into dragons would be called root dragons. For example, special abilities such as traveling through space and time without being affected, and learning the magic of Yggdrasil, World Tree, that should not be able to learn, were all brought about by the bloodline of the root dragon. Don't worry. If this thing doesn't die after being hit by a Tier 9 magic, I'll have to look at it in a different light, Wuming said with a wave of his hand. Although Nasarick was an alien guild, the spells that the members of the guild organized were not only of the Dark series. The Skyfire, just now, was a Faith-type spell. Although it was strange to use Faith-type magic to attack an angel, Wuming did not think too much about it. The Skyfire spell had a special ability that increased its attack power on non-human enemies. In Yggdrasil, World Tree, apart from races such as humans, elves and dwarves, demi-humans, aliens such as orcs, goblins, ogres, vampires, bugmen, demons, and dragons all had attack power. Coupled with the support of Wuming's powerful magic, how could a mere level 45 monster withstand it? That's right, Yair Bade was the one who told Wuming the monster's level. According to Yair Bade, there were such monsters in Yggdrasil, World Tree. Is it a coincidence? Or? Wuming pondered. What? Tier 9 magic? How is that possible? Negan shouted as he broke down. Mama, calm down. You're the leader of these priests after all, Wuming said with a smile. Impossible. How could anyone know a Tier 9 magic? Negan seemed to have broken down as he took out a crystal from his pocket. Item? I remember that crystal item seems to be used to seal spells from the 1st to the 10th level. After thinking for a while, Wuming swung his arm and a silver chain flew out from Wuming's palm. Before Negan could react, the chain snatched the crystal item from Negan's hand. After putting away Enkidu, Wuming looked at the item in his hand and then tossed it to Yair Bade, who was beside him. Go back and see what's inside. Yes, Lord. Lord Villo. Then, Wuming looked at Negan's group. As for you. Just as Wuming was about to say something, the sky shattered like a piece of glass in front of Wuming's group. Just in case, I even learned a high-level counterintelligence spell called Mirror Reflection. The Motherland is spying on me? Negan was in disbelief. Wait. Negan suddenly shouted as if he had broken down. Sir, no. My lord, we know I'm fine by myself. Please let me go. I'll give you any amount of money, I beg you. Don't embarrass yourself here, lowly creature. Yair Bade suddenly shouted. The only thing you can do now is to quietly kneel on the ground and gratefully accept Lord Villo's gift of death. Low-class creature. Purgatory said in an uncertain tone. Ma. Since Yair Bade said so. Wuming closed his eyes and opened them again. A golden vertical pupil appeared in Wuming's eyes. Accept your fate, lowly creature. Chapter 38. Under Wuming's orders, Yo captured the members of the Sacred Scripture of Sunlight and brought them back to Nasarick. Wuming used the excuse that the Sacred Scripture of Sunlight could be resurrected to order Yo not to kill the members of the Sacred Scripture of Sunlight. This was cruel to the members of the Sacred Scripture of Sunlight. After all, Nasarick was an alien guild created by a group of insane gamers. After Nasarick transformed into a physical body, Nazarik's interrogation methods were devastating. Moreover, Wuming had ordered them not to kill the members of the Sacred Scripture of Sunlight. It was obvious that the members of the Sacred Scripture of Sunlight had been offended. However, This had nothing to do with Wu Ming. The battle between Wu Ming and the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight was witnessed by some villagers and Gu Jiefu. Wu Ming used the excuse of feeding the magical beasts to transfer the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight to Nasarick. Since he had gathered enough information about this world, Wu Ming decided to bid farewell. Is that so? Is Lord Villo leaving? Gu Jiefu asked thoughtfully. Lord Villo, I would like to thank you again. Thank you for saving my parents. Thank you. Anli and Nim heard that Wu Ming was leaving and hurried over to express their gratitude to Wu Ming. Wu Ming could only smile helplessly. Oh yes, Anli, I have something for you. Wu Ming extended his hand to Yo Bade. Yes. Yo Bade took out 2 objects that were the size of a cow's horn and handed them to Wu Ming. This is a flute that can summon goblins. Use it well. Anli was taken aback. She wanted to reject the gift, but Wu Ming stuffed it into her hands. Lord Villo, this is too precious. It was a magical item, and it was extremely powerful for a village girl like Anli. Just take it. It's not a very valuable item, Wu Ming said with a smile. Wu Ming was not wrong. These were the tools that he had asked Bear to bring out from Nasarick. According to the information in Wu Ming's mind, these 2 pairs of flutes could only summon a dozen low-level goblins. Of course that was in the game. Though the low-level goblins weren't enough to protect the village, the goblins could teach the villagers how to defend themselves. Although Khan village was not too far away from Nazarik's underground tomb, Wu Ming did not plan to protect Khan village forever. As for who to give the item to, Wu Ming undoubtedly gave it to the pair of sisters he met first. Sir Villo, are you interested in going to King's City with me? Gu Jiefu suddenly asked. May I know why you are inviting me? From the battle between you and those people, I can see that Sir Villo is a very powerful magical chanter. After all, I am a citizen of the kingdom, and it is necessary for me to recruit talents for the kingdom, Gu Jiefu said seriously. Please forgive my refusal, Sir Gu Jiefu. I still have some family members to take care of. I won't go to King's City with you, Wu Ming said naturally. When Baird heard the word family, her expression under the helmet instantly became emotional. Is that so? That's a pity. Then, I wish Sir Villo a safe journey. Gu Jiefu was not angry at Wu Ming's refusal. He only smiled faintly. If I have the chance to go to King's City, I would like to ask Gu Jiefu to lead the way for me, Wu Ming said jokingly. Of course, Gu Jiefu said. Leave it to me. After that, Wu Ming summoned Fan Baba from the forest near Khan village. Sister, look, it's that beautiful deer. Don't talk nonsense, Nim. That's Sir Villo's magical beast. So this is Sir Villo's magical beast. It's really an excellent magical beast, Gu Jiefu praised. Wu Ming also got on the Fan Baba with Baird. He waved at Gu Jiefu, Onli, and the others and walked into the distance. After a while, Wu Ming noticed that Baird, who was sitting behind him, seemed to have some questions. What's the matter, Baird? Baird hesitated for a while and asked. Sir Wu Ming, do you like humans very much? Hearing this question, Wu Ming smiled faintly. What about you? What do you think of humans? Baird answered without hesitation. Weak, inferior creatures. What a beautiful scene it would be to stomp them to death like insects. After hearing Baird's words, Wu Ming had an expression that said, I knew you would say that. Baird, I quite like humans. After all, I was adopted by a kind old man when I was born. Sir Wu Ming was adopted by humans. Baird was very surprised. Ah yes. You guys didn't exist back then. Back then I thought I was a human. Wu Ming recalled the past and said slowly. Is that why Sir Wu Ming likes humans? Not only that, Baird. Wu Ming sat back and sat at the same level as Baird. Humans are very mysterious creatures. Their bodies are weak, their strength is weak, and they often fight among themselves. They are vulgar and sad. But humans love life, love peace, are positive, united, and tolerant. Humans are such a strange species. They never bow down in the face of difficulties, never give up, and never retreat. They have the courage to face everything. They know how to learn and know how to create. Even if their innate abilities are insufficient, they will work hard to grow. Wu Ming looked at Baird. Baird, I don't expect you to treat humans well. At the very least, don't be so hostile to them. After saying that, Bear did not say anything else. Ming smiled helplessly. Consider it my willful request. What do you think, Bear? I understand, Sir Ming. I'll treat humans seriously, whether it's to kill or to save them, Bear said as if he had figured something out. Thank you, Bear. Please don't say that, Sir Ming. Bear smiled happily. After coming to this world, you're the only one who's accompanied us. We have to thank you. After hearing Baird's words, Ming seemed to have thought of something and fell silent. I'm sorry, Baird. Why are you sorry, Sir Ming? Baird was puzzled. It's nothing. Anyway, let's go home. Ming gave up on thinking. Forget it. I'll let nature take its course. When Nasarick has established himself in this world, I'll tell them the truth. Yes, Sir Ming. Under the setting sun, a man and a woman rode on a beautiful beast and traveled slowly. Chapter 39. The office on the 9th floor of Nazarick's underground tomb. Ming sat on the office chair and listened to Baird reading the report. Also, the magic sealing crystal contains a level 60 devil, the Radiant Lord's angel. According to the person called Purgatory, this angel once killed the devil god that ravaged the continent. Currently, this is the situation in Nasarick. Please take a look. After Baird finished reading, he placed the document in front of Ming. Celian Cult Nation. 6-color scripture, huh? Ming picked up the document in his hand and started reading. A cult nation that exterminates all non-human creatures above humans? The Celian cult nation and our Nasarick are really incompatible. Ming rubbed his forehead helplessly. Such a nation was really disadvantageous to Nasarick. Don't come into contact with the cult nation for now. Set up a devil beast near Khan village that can avoid being detected by intelligence magic and has stealth abilities. That's all for now. Yes. You've worked hard, Baird. Go back and rest. Ming leaned back on the chair and said to Baird. How could that be? Lord Ming, as long as it is for the sake of Ji Zun, the person I love the most, I will do anything. Seeing that Bedford had turned into an infatuated girl again, Ming couldn't help but turn his head away. I still want to complain. What's with Baird's broken character? Suddenly, a charming voice traveled into the room. Excuse me. Satya pushed open the door and walked in. Satya? What's the matter? Ming asked curiously. I'm here to admire Lord Ming's majesty, Satya said with an infatuated expression. Oh, is that so? Then you should be satisfied. Satya, you can leave now. I still have important matters to discuss with Lord Ming, Baird said expressionlessly. Aya. Old woman, you're so annoying. Are you in such a hurry because it's past its expiration date? Satya said with an, I knew it, expression. Then is there anything else on your body that can be eaten? You're like a bunch of food samples. In fact, Baird looked at Zaisha's chest. I'll kill you, old hag. Who are you calling past their expiration date? Bastard. Ming slammed the table as he watched the dark Yen-Yi duel. All right, you two shouldn't quarrel as soon as you see each other. Speaking of which, why don't I know what Xiataya is going to do? Ming asked. It's like this, Lord Ming. I'm about to leave for battle and meet up with Sebastian. It will be difficult for me to return to Nasarick for a while, so I'm here to pay my respects to you. It seems that Baird and Demi-Yugos had discussed and sent some people to gather information. Ming thought. This is the first time you've come into contact with this world. You must be careful in everything you do, Ming said earnestly. Yes, Lord Ming. Then, I'll take my leave first. Following the sound of the door closing, Satya left the office. Lord Ming, what are you going to do next? Baird asked. I'm going to the treasury to get something. Yeah, Beta, go do what you need to do. Don't worry about me. Ming stood up and stretched. Yes, Lord Ming. However, Demi-Yugos may come back to report something to you later. Baird bowed slightly and said respectfully. Is that so? Then let Demi-Yugos wait for me here. I'll be back soon. Yes, Lord Ming. After giving his instructions, Wu Ming teleported to the entrance of the treasury. Wu Ming's Dragonist was upgraded into a noble phantasm. Coupled with Wu Ming's constant nourishment, the space inside Dragonist was now very vast. In fact, Wu Ming came this time to put all the useful things in Nazarik's treasury into Dragonist. After all, Wu Ming didn't want to live a life without anything. It was more convenient to put the useful things directly into Dragonist. Wu Ming actually only learned a few spells in Nasarik. The 5th tier Magic Dragon Thunder, the 6th tier Magic Angel's Return, the 9th tier Magic Heavenly Fire, and the magic skills Mirror Reflection, Dragon Thunder, and many other high-level spells. They were mainly used to deal with humans. Angel's Return was a low-level resurrection spell without side effects. Wu Ming chose to learn this resurrection spell because he didn't know the performance of resurrection magic, such as the resurrection target's level must not exceed 50, the corpse's integrity, and so on. Heavenly Fire was a large-scale killing spell used to deal with non-human creatures. Mirror Reflection was a high-level passive skill. Passive skills were not divided into levels. They were only divided into high-level, intermediate, and low-level. This skill was not only used to guard against intelligence detection magic, but also had absolute resistance to mind control, mind reading, and other mental attacks. That was the advantage of the game. After all, a game couldn't be so detailed. For the time being, Wu Ming learned these few spells. There were several more practical Wu Ming spells that Wu Ming didn't learn yet. For example, Advanced Item Creation, Advanced Item Destruction, Advanced Item Identification, Portal, and so on. The magic books Wu Ming sorted out before were the magic books for these skills. After Wu Ming talked to Pandora Yakut, the keeper of the treasure vault, he took some of the treasures that were unnecessary or redundant for Nasarik. Because the game has become reality, Wu Ming had no way to know the function of the items in the treasure vault except for the special interpretation items. Fortunately, the staff of Anzi Wurgong works. In this way, Wu Ming used the staff of Anzi Wurgong to interpret the function of the items one by one, and chose some items that were useful to him and did not conflict with the purpose of protecting Nasarik. In the treasure vault, there were other Supreme Beings' spirit halls. In fact, it was the cenotaph. The last player who stayed behind sorted out the equipment of other players, and those equipment were worn by some stone soldiers. It would automatically attack those who wore the ring of Anzi Wurgong. Wu Ming was shocked when he came here. Looking at these somewhat crooked sculptures, Wu Ming felt the players' love for other players, for Anzi Wurgong, for Nasarik, and even for Yggdrasil. Don't worry, since I'm here, I will make it flourish, and I won't let your efforts over the years go to waste. After all, Wu Ming's strength was ready-made, and Nazarik's strength was built by those players. After leaving the treasure vault, Wu Ming returned to his office. Demi-Yugos was standing in front of his desk, thinking about something. After hearing someone came in, Demi-Yugos looked back and quickly bowed. Wu Ming-sama, you're back. Ah, Demi-Yugos. Is there anything you want to tell me? Wu Ming walked to the office chair and sat down. It's about Nazarik's finances. Demi-Yugos adjusted his glasses and continued. After you gave me the gold coins of this world, during testing, I found that as long as they are processed into objects the size of gold coins and have a certain value, they can be used to support Nazarik's operations. Wu Ming's eyes lit up. That's great. I happen to have some gold and jewelry that I don't need right now. I'll give them all to you. With that, Wu Ming took the item that Demi-Yugos handed over. It was a special leather bag with a large mouth. When he opened the bag, what greeted his eyes was a membrane that looked like water. Wu Ming pointed his palm at the membrane, and a large number of treasures swarmed out of Wu Ming's palm and fell into the membrane. This bag was called the Infinite Backpack, and it was an item in the Yggdrasil game. It could store unlimited items, and the weight of the bag would not change. After a while, Wu Ming sealed the bag and handed it to Demi-Yugos. Looks like I have to find a lucrative job for Nasarik. Wu Ming began to plan in his mind. Chapter 40. 10th Floor. Nasarik Library. Wu Ming was reading a magic book intently. Advanced Item Creation. As his voice fell, Wu Ming had a magnificent great sword in his hand. Wu Ming waved it casually. As the great sword danced, it produced friction with the surrounding air, making a sound as if it was tearing the space. The skills in the game are really abnormal. With high-grade item creation alone, you can create weapons with high durability and power. High-level item creation was a skill that could create simple weapons or items in Yggdrasil, but its effect in the game was a bit weak. After all, powerful weapons or items in the game couldn't be created with high-level item creation. For example, divine artifact and world-level items. It stood to reason that this skill shouldn't change even after the game was transformed into reality. But, advanced item creation. As he chanted the spell, a silver chain appeared in Wuming's hand. Then Wuming chanted another spell. Advanced item identification. Wuming said as if he understood something. So that's how it is, you can even create Enkidu. Is it because I'm not a player in the game, so I can use this skill? The Enkidu created with advanced item creation had the same effect as the original Enkidu. The more magical power provided during the creation, the stronger the chain would be. But there was a drawback. The items created with advanced item creation would not have any growth, and it couldn't increase the magical power output to improve its performance. That was the only drawback. However, Wuming took advantage of one of the advantages of advanced item creation. The created items would not disappear because of being placed for a long time, they would only be destroyed. In other words, as long as it was maintained, the created items would always exist. Of course, it still depended on what kind of item was created. If it was a weapon, it would be fine, but if it was a crystal item, it would disappear and turn into powder after a few uses. Advanced item destruction. With a bang, the great sword that Wuming had created earlier turned into motes of starlight and disappeared into the air. This skill isn't bad either. If I use it, it can completely rival shatter magic. Crushing magic, as the name suggested, was a type of magic that specialized in crushing. It was extremely dangerous. If something went wrong, even the caster himself would be crushed. Well, let's leave it at that for now. Wuming put away the fake heaven lock in his hand. Let's go to Yalantar to exchange some gold coins later. 500 gold coins. What do you think? 1,000 gold coins. Dong. Deal. Walking out of the shop, Wuming shook the money pouch in his hand. Seriously, this shop owner is really interesting. He actually wants to buy the weapon I created for 500 gold coins. Does he think I'm easy to bully? Wuming said in boredom as he looked at the bulging money pouch in his hand. I didn't expect there to be such a thing as platinum coins. Is it worth 10 times more than gold coins? As for whether the shop owner lied to him or not, Wuming wasn't worried. After all, Wuming found a large shop with a good reputation. Even if he was cheated, Wuming still had the means to find the shop owner. It's almost time, it's time to go back. Wuming found a rather secluded alleyway. Portal. As the voice fell, a constantly changing black and red circular portal appeared in front of Wuming. Without hesitation, Wuming walked in. In a conference room similar to a luxurious living room, a group of guardians sat there discussing something. A constantly changing black and red circular portal appeared in the room. A group of guardians immediately stood up and put on a respectful look. Wuming walked out of the portal. Wuming-sama. Wuming waved his hand, stopped the guardians from saluting, and sat on the main seat. Clatter! With the sound of gold coins colliding, a bag of platinum coins fell on the table. Demiugos, these are the platinum coins I got from Urantir. You can test them later. Yes, sir. Demiugos reached out and put away the bag of platinum coins. Y'all, have you finished modifying the villager's memory? Yes, Sir Wuming-sama, but because you made a lot of noise that day, I followed your order and modified some of their memory. Y'all raised his hand and replied with a smile. Okay, Khan Village is like this for the time being. Remember to send some troops to lurk near Khan Village. They don't need to be strong, but they must be good at hiding. Yes, Sir Wuming-sama. Malay, has Nazarik's concealment been completed? This was the decision made by Yair Bade and Demiugos during their discussion. After Wuming agreed to hide Nasarik, this task was given to Malay. Yes, Sir Wuming. Nazarik's surroundings are hidden with soil and trees. The sky is also hidden with illusions. There should be no problem, Malay said weakly. Yair Bade, keep in contact with Zaisha and Sebastian. If anything happens, retreat immediately. Yes, Sir Wuming. Don't worry. Yair Bade smiled sweetly. However, when Wuming saw this smile, he remembered Yair Bade's infatuated nature. Ahem, I'm going to the royal capital. Yes, I'll immediately prepare the guards to accompany you. Yearbade's smile changed and said seriously. There's no need for the guards. I'm going alone. When Wuming said this, the guardians were unhappy. Please reconsider, Sir Wuming. Please bring some guards, Sir Wuming. The supreme honorable safety is the most important. Sir Wuming, please reconsider. Hearing everyone's words, Wuming smiled bitterly. All right. I'll choose someone from Nasarick to bring along. Wuming looked around at the guardians and saw the worry in their eyes. You guys were originally NPCs. Is the supreme honorable's life force after becoming physical? You guys are really like a group of children who can't grow up. To be honest, Wuming already had a sense of belonging to Nasarick. After all, Wuming had been on the move ever since he left the ordinary world where he had nothing to worry about. From the country of shadows to Connaught, from Britain to Babylon. Although he stayed in some places for longer periods of time, Wuming was still a passerby. And it was unintentional that he came to this world. Really? I'm a little envious of the players of Ains Wugong. If only I could travel through time with Nasarick. That's right. Wuming seemed to have thought of something and suddenly stood up. What's wrong, Sir Wuming? Yearbade looked at Wuming with a worried face. The other guardians also looked worried. Sorry, I just thought of something. That's all for the meeting. I'll take my leave first. After saying that, Wuming hurriedly opened the portal and stepped in, leaving a group of guardians staring at each other in bewilderment. Chapter 41. After Wuming left the meeting room, he immediately went to his bedroom. Wuming stretched out his hand, and a twisted golden scepter appeared in his hand. I hope my idea can be realized. With that, Wuming crossed his legs and activated the floating function of the scepter of Anzi Wurgong, allowing it to float in front of him. Wuming closed his eyes and began to permeate his mind power into the scepter of Anzi Wurgong. 7 days later, outside Wuming's bedroom on the 9th floor of Nasarick, a group of guardians surrounded Wuming's bedroom door. Annabelle, what happened to Master Wuming? It's been 6 days since the planned departure time. You just said, Master Wuming ordered us not to disturb him, don't worry. How can I not be worried? If something happens to Lord Wuming. Yeah. Urbeda had a heartbroken expression on his face as he yelled heartbreakingly at a female servant who was standing guard outside the door. Annabelle said very calmly. Master Yearbade, I am also very worried about Master Wuming, but Master Wuming has clearly stated that no one can enter without permission. I am very sorry. All right, Yearbade. Demiugos, who was standing at the side, pushed up his glasses. Since Master Wuming said this, he must have his reasons. Let's leave it at that for today. Go back and continue the work that Master Wuming gave you. That's right. Although we come to Master Wuming's bedroom every day to wait for Master Wuming to come out, we cannot slack off on the work that Master Wuming gave us. Cosita said with an unusually hoarse voice as he breathed out cold air. Let's go, Yearbade. Master Wuming will be fine. Yearbade pulled Yearbade aside. How can I? That fake breast is finally not in Nasarick. How can I miss such a good opportunity? That. I think it's not good to sneak away while Satya is not here, Malay said weakly. Just as the commotion was going on, a large amount of magic power came from Wuming's room. The magic power even destroyed Wuming's bedroom door. The large amount of magic power in the room condensed into a magic power mist that kept leaking out of the door. Master Wuming. In an instant, the guardians, including the maid Annabelle, panicked. I'm fine. Wuming's voice came from within the magic power mist. This can't be wasted. With that, the mana mist that had been coming out of the room began to shrink back into the room. Finally, all of the magic power mist was the staff in Wuming's staff. Was the staff of staff. However, at this time, although the appearance of the staff of staff did not change, the guardians who had been lucky enough to see this staff found that Nazarik's secret treasure, the staff of staff, had become more sacred. And those who had not seen this staff, including Annabelle, were in awe of it from the bottom of their hearts. Master Wuming. Everyone present saluted to Wuming, knelt on one knee, and bowed their heads to greet him. Seeing this scene, Wuming smiled bitterly. I clearly told them not to salute like this and just bow, but they refused on the grounds of not being disrespectful to Master Wuming in public. Really, a group of troublemakers. Get up, everyone. Yes. After everyone got up, Wuming continued. If you want to know what happened, I'll explain it in the conference hall later. Yair Abed, get someone to clean up the room. Annabelle Gamma, go get ready and follow me to the royal city later. Yes. Master Wuming. WH. Yes. Master Wuming. A moment later, the Guardians gathered in the room where the previous meeting was held. The Guardians sat on the chairs and quietly looked at Wuming, who was holding the staff. Guardians, now, I want to announce something that is worthy of me, worthy of you, and worthy of the entire Nasaric to be excited. Wuming said with a charming smile. After the Guardians heard this, they all sat up straight. Before the announcement, I want to ask a question. Wuming glanced at the Guardians and said, do you have any thoughts about the world we were in before, Yggdrasil? As soon as these words came out, the Guardians' bodies tensed up. The Guardians stood up together, knelt on one knee, and bowed their heads. Where Master Wuming is where we are, and we will always follow Master Wuming. Now, we have the ability to travel to other worlds, and this ability is the treasure of Nasaric that I have, the staff of staff. All the Guardians' eyes lit up. However, this was Wuming's lie. Unfortunately, we can't choose the worlds we can travel to. Then, Master Wuming, you mean that the first world we travel to might be Yggdrasil, and the last world we travel to might be Yggdrasil? Demiurgos pushed his glasses and said, correct, but there is also the possibility that we will never return to Yggdrasil. After all, there are too many worlds. My biggest interest is traveling, so I may leave Nasaric in the future. Master Wuming. Hearing what Wuming said, everyone was anxious, especially Yair Bade, who looked like he was about to cry. He's already crying, Wuming complained in his heart. Don't worry, I will take you and our Nasaric with me. Now the plan has changed. Except for the members of Nasaric who are outside, all members are not allowed to go out without my permission. Use message to inform Sebastian and Zaisha to collect the necessary information as soon as possible and return to Nasaric as soon as possible. Leave this matter to the Guardian's chief supervisor, Yair Bade. Yes, Master Wuming. Wuming looked at Demiurgos. Demiurgos. Yes, Master. Raise the alert level of Nasaric again to beyond the highest alert level. I believe that as the commander of the Guardians, you will be able to do it well. Yes, Master Wuming, I will not disappoint you. I will definitely break through the highest alert level of Nasaric. As for the matter of the staff of Anzi-Ergong traveling between worlds, you can spread it on your own. The first and third levels will be given to Cositas, the fifth level will be given to Yuri and Mare, and the eighth level will be given to Demiurgos. After completing the corresponding task, stand by. Dismissed. Yes, Master Wuming. After a flash of light, Wuming left using the staff of Anzi-Ergong's teleportation function. The Guardians quickly took action, and Nasaric ushered in a big change. At this moment, Wuming and Annabelle were walking on the road to the royal capital. Chapter 42. In the carriage. Wuming was resting with his eyes closed. After Wuming came to this different world, he had been wearing the white holy cloth of the Uruk. Because he was going to the capital, Wuming changed into a set that met the standards of this different world. White underwear, a black coat, a pair of black trousers, and a pair of black boots. His neat short hair was constantly floating with the wind coming in from the window. There were no traces of erosion by time on his face. He still looked like a young man. Outside, Annabelle was driving the horse and driving the carriage at the moment. He wore a white shirt with black collar and sleeves, brown trousers, and brown boots that reached his calves. He wore a brown cloak that covered his body, and an ordinary sheathed long sword hung at his waist. Annabelle looked at Wuming, who was resting with his eyes closed in the carriage from time to time. Obviously, Annabelle already knew the new function of the staff of Ains Ergong. Feeling the gaze outside, Wuming had to smile bitterly in his heart. I didn't expect them to be so surprised after knowing that Nasaric can travel between worlds. I was obviously lying. No, it's not a lie. After all, I can now take Nasaric with me to travel between worlds. Previously, Wu-ming thought that he entered this different world after fusing with a light ball. After a later judgment, the light ball was the big underground tomb of Nasarick. In other words, the big underground tomb of Nasarick should have become part of Wu-ming. But because of the nobility of Wu-ming's bloodline, his bloodline was automatically expelled from the big underground tomb of Nasarick after Wu-ming entered this world. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been Nasarick on the grassland near Urantir. Instead, there would have been a huge dragon lying there. But because Nasarick and Wu-ming had fused for a short time, and the staff of Ain Zergong could be said to be closely related to the big underground tomb of Nasarick, Wu-ming suddenly had an idea. What would happen if the staff of Anzi-Ergen became my noble phantasm? Wu-ming was filled with curiosity and unknowns. That was why Wu-ming went into seclusion in his bedroom for 7 days despite his plans being disrupted. These 7 days were used to upgrade the staff of Anzi-Ergen into a noble artifact. As Wu-ming had fused with Nazarik's underground grave for a short period of time, the time it took for Wu-ming to transform the staff of Anzi-Wergong into a relic was much shorter than the time it took for other relics to evolve. After the staff of Anzi-Wergong was transformed into a relic, it had 2 abilities. Firstly, it was because the staff of Anzurgen had a large number of magic skills. After it was upgraded to a noble relic, it became a super weapon that could release tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of magic spells. Secondly, Anzi-Ergong Guild's stronghold was located in the underground graveyard of Nasarick. The staff of Anzi-Ergong was the guild weapon of Anzi-Ergong Guild. If the guild weapon was destroyed, the guild would be forcefully disbanded. The guild weapon had the highest authority in the guild. After the staff of Anzi-Ergen was upgraded into a noble relic, its ability became to store the underground graveyard of Nasarick into the staff of Anzi-Ergen. It could also form an enchantment that eroded the world, and summon the underground graveyard of Nasarick to its master in the form of magic. In short, it was the reality marble of the world in the shape of the moon. The magic that could instantiate the scenery in one's mind was called reality marble. Once the reality marble was activated, it would change the surrounding space into a completely different scenery, shaping the caster's mind and eroding the real world. That was why Wu-ming said that the staff of Anzi-Ergen could allow the underground graveyard of Nasarick to travel between worlds. However, what I care about is the second ability of the noble relic, the staff of Anzi-Ergen. The biggest advantage of the reality marble was that everything in the enchantment was immortal. The people or things in the Nazarik's underground graveyard were killed or destroyed, and they would only turn into magic residue, drifting away with the wind, and it had no effect on the people or things themselves. Even if they were destroyed, killed, or even destroyed the entire reality marble, as long as the caster had enough magic power, he could summon them again. In that case, Wu-ming could use the second ability of the staff of Anzi-Ergen without worrying about the guardian's safety. That's great. Wu-ming couldn't help but say what was on his mind. What's wrong, Wu-ming-sama? Annabelle, who was outside the carriage, couldn't help but ask. No, nothing. Wu-ming smiled helplessly. Then he remembered something and said, Didn't I tell you to call me Villo-sama, Villo there answered? The carriage stopped. Yes, Wu-ming-sama. Annabelle instantly ran to the carriage, knelt on one knee, and said with her head down, It's Villo. Mr. Villo. Wu-ming raised his voice and shouted, Yes, Mr. Villo-sama. Wu-ming was silent for a while. Forget it, just call me that, let's move on. Yes, Mr. Villo-sama. Wu-ming felt like the glass in his heart was broken. Wu-ming-sama, we're here. Hearing Annabelle's words, Wu-ming opened his eyes. He poked his head out and looked at the slightly plain gate of the royal city. We're finally here. In fact, Wu-ming was a little anxious about coming to the royal city before he upgraded the staff of Anzi-Ergen into a noble artifact. After all, Nasarick wanted to survive in this world, and it was inevitable that he would have to deal with the natives of this world. However, after finding a way to take Nasarick out of this world, Wu-ming was not so anxious about Nasarick taking root in this world. After all, there is no world that Nasarick likes to move to, so it's better to take root in this world for the time being. That was Wu-ming's thought. Let's go, Annabelle, find a hotel to stay first. Yes, Mr. Villo-sama. Wu-ming was speechless. Soon, Wu-ming and Annabelle stayed in a good hotel with the little money they had left. Because when they were in Khan village, Gujefu once said, If Mr. Villo wants to come to the royal city, please come to me and let me do my best. After recalling the address mentioned by Gujefu, Wu Ming took Annabelle to Good Jeffu's residence. It was a very ordinary house without any special features. Except for Annabelle, who was slightly dissatisfied, Wu Ming felt that this house was good. Wu Ming stepped forward and knocked on the door. After waiting for a while, no one responded. It seems that Good Jeffu is not at home. Forget it. Let's go back to the hotel first, Annabelle. A mere bug can make the supreme wait like this. Mr. Villo, Sama, please rest assured that I will personally tie it up and bring it to the hotel. With that said, she was about to raise her hand to cast magic on the house. Wu Ming was just about to stop Annabelle, and suddenly a voice that was quite familiar to Wu Ming came from a distance. Are you Mr. Villo, Sama? Chapter 43. Wu Ming looked at the source of the voice. A strong man in his 30s stood there in plain clothes. Long time no see, Sir Good Jeffu. Wu Ming waved and smiled. Please forgive me for not being able to entertain you at my humble abode. Good Jeffu put 2 glasses of water in front of Wu Ming, who was sitting. Isn't this proof of Sir Good Jeffu's integrity? Wu Ming didn't mind and took a glass of water to drink. Annabelle, don't stand there. Sit down and drink a glass of water. This is an order. Yes. Villo Sama. Annabelle, who was standing behind Wu Ming, had to sit down after hearing Wu Ming's order. As for the address, after Wu Ming thought about it again and again, he still let Annabelle call him Sir. After all, Mr. Rosin was stranger than Rosin. Thank you again, Villo Sama. If it weren't for you, I would have died in Khan village. Looking at Good Jeffu solemnly thanking him, Wu Ming waved his hand casually. You're welcome, Sir Good Jeffu. I have to trouble you to come to the capital this time. Good Jeffu was taken aback and then smiled bitterly. I thought Sir Villo came to me to introduce you to the king. It seems that I'm flattered. Then he looked serious. So, Sir Villo, what's the matter? Wu Ming stretched out his hand, and a 3-fist-sized rectangular grey-black metal appeared in his hand. This is steel? Good Jeffu was more excited after seeing it. Yes, that was the pure steel block created by Wu Ming with advanced item creation. Not only the shape was good for forging weapons, but the density was also higher than the steel produced in this world. Such a large piece of finished steel. Is Sir Villo here to sell this piece of steel to me? Wu Ming smiled. No, Sir Good Jeffu, I'm here to do business with you. I have a lot of finished steel blocks of this size. Wu Ming put the steel block on the table. I wonder if Sir Good Jeffu will be able to eat it. Good Jeffu thought for a while. If there are really a lot of them, I can't make the decision. How about this, Your Excellency Villo? It just so happens that Her Royal Highness is looking for me. Let me bring you to see Her Royal Highness. Oh, could it be the Golden Princess who proposed many wise policies in the kingdom? Wu Ming's eyes flashed. Yes, it's Her Royal Highness the Golden Princess. What do you think? Of course, no problem. Although he said so, Wu Ming thought in his heart. Can a princess come up with so many outstanding examples? I feel like there's something wrong with her. Soon, Wu Ming and Annabelle were taken to a villa near the palace by Good Jeffu. Although it was called a villa, it did not look luxurious. Instead, it gave off a simple feeling. After following the servant to the living room, Wu Ming and Good Jeffu chatted while waiting for the arrival of the Golden Princess. Annabelle, who was standing behind Wu Ming, was somewhat unhappy. She said something like, a mere insect dares to make Lord Wu Ming, a supreme expert, wait. This subordinate will definitely make her pay the price. Although Wu Ming deliberately suppressed it, Good Jeffu didn't hear it. After a while, a sweet voice came. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Wu Ming looked at the source of the voice. What caught Wu Ming's eyes was the golden blonde hair. The visitor was wearing a white princess dress with other color decorations. She wore necklace-like ornaments on her neck and forehead, and a golden petite crown on her head. Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Good Jeffu. I heard that you brought someone important, so I prepared a little. It's my fault for not asking Her Royal Highness in advance. After some small talk, Good Jeffu introduced Wu Ming to the princess. This is the Villo Silansword who saved my life in Khan village. Good Jeffu then introduced the princess to Wu Ming. This is the 3rd princess of the kingdom, Lady Lana. The princess looked at Wu Ming. Thank you, Mr. Villo Silansword. Thank you very much for saving Mr. Gujefu. Lana thanked Wuming as soon as she came up. I'm Lana Ter Chardon Lyle Van Seve. I'm sorry I didn't see your name on the newspaper. Wuming looked at the naive Lana without any change in his expression. It's my honor to see a commoner like me, Princess Lana. Wuming said half-jokingly. You're funny, Mr. Silensword. Lana covered her mouth and laughed. Wuming looked at the beautiful person in front of him and thought. Lana Ter Chardon Lyle Van Seve, the third princess of the Kingdom of Rystage. She was known for her beauty and wisdom, and was praised as the Golden Princess by the people. But, she looks a little like Morgan Le Fay. So, Mr. Gujefu, why did you bring Mr. Silensword to see me? Princess Lana asked the question in her heart. It's like this, Your Royal Highness. Gujefu took out the stainless steel that Wuming provided and explained the purpose of Wuming's visit to Princess Lana. So that's how it is. Princess Lana, who understood the cause and effect, had a look of sudden realization. Don't worry, Mr. Silensword. I will help you find a trustworthy merchant. Please allow me to purchase some of your stainless steel as a member of the royal family. Wuming didn't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the kingdom buying it all. After all, I'm just a merchant here to sell things, Your Royal Highness. Wuming smiled. Just call me Lana. I believe that a person who saved the kingdom's warrior captain must be a good person. Lana smiled at Wuming. This sentence surprised Wuming. After all, in Wuming's eyes, he wasn't a good person. Whether it was in Connaught, Britain, Babylon, or now Nasarick, Wuming was always protecting his own interests. In order to let Maeve let him go, Wuming promised Maeve to help him finish the war. In order to protect Britain, Wuming had done a lot of dirty things. He had thought of buying goods and murder countless times. In Babylon, with Gilgamesh there, Wuming didn't have to do too much for Babylon. However, it was also because Wuming couldn't defeat the gods of Sumer pantheon and could only bluff. Otherwise, Wuming wouldn't have left with Enkidu who faked his death. In Nasarick, the original Nasarick people were people with a negative sense of justice. Wuming didn't ask them to change. He only advised a few people not to be too hostile towards humans. Of course, that was only towards people who were kind. As for people who were full of evil intentions and scum, even if they were killed by the people of Nasarick, Wuming wouldn't bat an eye. Wuming was such a person who was full of egoism and did as he pleased. Hearing Lana praise Wuming as a good person, Wuming was a bit absent-minded. Since it's daily, Princess Lana should also call me a Villo. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. Wuming said. Yes, Mr. Villo. Well, since they don't have any evil intentions, I don't need to care whether they miss Morgan Le Fay or not. It doesn't affect me anyway. Just like that, Wuming's merchant plan was successfully carried out. Just as Wuming and Lana were happily talking, a young man came into the room. Chapter 44. I'm very sorry, Your Highness Lana, I'm late. A young man opened the door and walked in. The young man had short blonde hair, a youthful face, and a resolute face. He was wearing white armor. Although he looked young, he gave off a very reliable feeling. Lana smiled and shook her head. It's okay, Clem. I'm here to discuss something with Mr. Jedjeff. Not to mention, Mr. Jedjeff also brought Mr. Villo Silensword, who saved Mr. Jedjeff's life in Khan village. Hearing that it was the person who saved Jedjeff's life, the young man named Clem's eyes lit up. He turned his head and looked at the only male in the room other than Jedjeff. That direct gaze made Annabelle a little unhappy. Just as Annabelle was about to say something, Wuming reached out his hand to stop her. After all, if the situation was not right, Annabelle would speak very arrogantly. He had to stop her. Is your name Clem? Do you have something to ask me? Yes, Mr. Silensword. I want to ask you how to become stronger. Clem, you're being rude. Princess Lana shouted. Jedjeff seemed to know something. He didn't say anything and just watched quietly. At this moment, no one said anything. Suddenly, a female voice was heard. You still haven't given up, boy. Everyone looked at the closed door. The voice came from outside the door. Is it Gragland? Princess Lana asked. The door was pushed open. The first to come in was a tall and sturdy blonde woman wearing red armor. It was as if a woman's head was pressed against a strong man's body. It was quite out of place. You should also stop talking, Gragland. Then came a pair of twin sisters. They were almost identical. Oh, Hina, are you too interested in this virgin? Ha ha. Her hair was tied up with a golden broom. She wore a scarf around her neck like a mask. Her upper body was wearing armor that only covered her chest. Her lower body was in shorts. Overall, it looked like a rather revealing female ninja outfit. Their clothes were embroidered with red and blue threads and patterns respectively. The red one was Tina, and the blue one was Tia. What nonsense are you talking about? Looks like it's not suitable for you to go out today, Glenn. Following that, a petite masked woman with a spirited expression walked in. He wore a red hooded cloak over his black clothes and a mask with a red gem embedded on his forehead. Strands of golden hair peeked out from the hood and mask. All right, Gigran, Rue. This is Her Highness Guest Hall. Stop messing around. The person who spoke seemed to be the captain. She was a beautiful woman with long blonde hair. She wore red tights and a blue skirt. She wore white cloth armor on her chest, a pair of white gauntlets on her forearms, and white protective boots on her calves. Oh Hajisai, you're here. Princess Lana, on the other hand, was quite happy to see this woman who seemed to be the team leader. She stood up and ran over to hold Haga's hand. Ah, Lana, I'm sorry to disturb you while you're talking to the warrior chief. Let me introduce you. This is the leader of Wild Rose, my friend, Haggis Elba Drew Eindora. Hello, Haggis said with a smile. This is Mr. Villo Silensword, the one who saved Mr. Jedjeff's life in Khan Village. Next to him is Mr. Villo's guard, Miss Annabelle. Just call me Villo, I'm not a pedantic person. Wuming stood up and greeted Wild Rose's people. Ha ha ha, you're so cool. Are you interested in having a go with me, handsome? Gigran's rough voice came. You aphid, don't you know what you look like? You'd better go back to the furnace and be reborn first before you consider whether to serve Sir Villo. Annabelle said mercilessly. Oh, you look so arrogant. Let's go out and practice. Gigran. Annabelle. Wuming and Haggis stopped the fight at the same time. Well, let's solve Clem's problem first. At this time, Gigran returned to the topic. Kid, you want to ask the strong to tell you how to become strong again, right? Clem was silent. Gigran's rough voice continued. I've said it before, the so-called saying that you can become strong through hard work is no longer suitable for you. Although some heroes also became strong through hard work, you've worked hard enough. I believe that no one in the kingdom can be said to be more hardworking than you. Give up, kid, you can't become strong anymore. Gigran's words made Clem's face pale, but from his determined eyes, it was clear that Clem had no intention of giving up. That's true, Wuming said slowly. But there are many ways to become strong. Wuming looked at Clem. Let me ask you, why do you want to become strong? Clem looked at Princess Lana, and then looked at Wuming. I want to become strong, to be able to protect Princess Lana. After that, there was another moment of silence. A moment later. Protect? Wuming smiled. Come out with me. After that, Wuming walked out of the room. Annabelle glanced at Clem and followed Wuming. Clem and Lana's faces were filled with joy. Could that handsome guy really make Clem stronger? Let's go out and see, Rue, who was wearing a mask, said. Rose Tsang and the others followed. In the courtyard, Wuming and Clem stood opposite each other. Don't you need a weapon? Clem asked. Wuming smiled and shook his head. Come at me with all you've got, Clem. Otherwise, you won't have the chance later. Although his words were arrogant, Wuming was not wrong. Then I'll go, Mr. Sirenthold. After that, Clem rushed forward with his sword. Clem swung his sword down, but Wuming's body swayed and dodged the attack. Seeing how easily Wuming dodged his attack, Clem swung his sword harder and faster, while Wuming continued to dodge. Clem had already swung his sword a dozen times, but none of them hit Wuming, and Wuming did not even take half a step back. Clem, have you heard of a saying? Wuming kept dodging Clem's attacks and said, when a person is in danger, they will explode with unprecedented power. Yes, I know. Clem replied. After hearing this, Wuming squinted his eyes. Are you ready? Without waiting for Clem's reply, Wu Ming released his terrifying aura. The magic power emitted from Wu Ming's body wreaked havoc on the ground around him, causing dirt to fly everywhere. Everyone present except Clem felt like they were facing a dragon, and their eyes were full of fear. Clem, who was targeted by Wu Ming's aura, was unable to move, and fear continued to erode Clem's heart. Let me see your determination to protect. Chapter 45. No. If this goes on, I'll die. Clem thought in his heart. I'm going. Wu Ming said calmly as he raised his seemingly normal arm. He clenched his fist and punched towards Clem at a very slow speed. Although the speed seemed slow to Clem could feel it. If I get hit, I'll definitely die. Everyone looked at Wu Ming and Clem nervously. Although the situation was dangerous, they still believed that Wu Ming wouldn't kill Clem. Her Highness Lana. Feeling his heartbeat, Clem thought about the face of the person he swore to serve for the rest of his life. Suddenly, Clem felt the chain in his body break. Pa-dash! The shackles that restricted his abilities were broken. Wu Ming's fist wind formed a tornado, sweeping up the dirt on the ground. In an instant, dust filled the air. Lana, Rose Tsong, and the others stared at the dust in the courtyard without blinking, wondering what the outcome would be. Slowly, the smoke and dust dispersed, revealing the figures of two people. Clem! Princess Lana couldn't help but call out. Clem's posture didn't change as he stood on the spot. The sword in his hand was swung forward, held tightly by Wu Ming's other hand. Wu Ming's arm that swung out stopped beside Clem's head. Wu Ming slowly retracted his arm and smiled at Clem. Congratulations. You've broken through your limits. This sentence was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. After Clem heard it, his body couldn't support itself and fell to the ground. Breathing heavily and feeling the pain on his body, Clem looked at the sky. He had never felt the sky was so blue before. Even under my aura, you can still dodge and swing your sword. Seems like your awareness is quite strong, Clem. Wu Ming then took out a healing potion from Dragonist and passed it to Princess Lana. This is a healing potion, Princess Lana. Give it to Clem. Everyone looked at the red healing potion with doubt in their hearts. After all, in this world, healing potions were all blue in color. Red potion. But under the mask of Ibiruai's face, there was a slight change. What is it, Ibiruai? Gedgeland asked Ibiruai. No. I'm fine. After Lana fed the healing potion to Clem, everyone returned to the meeting room. Clem asked impatiently as soon as he sat down. Fully recovered. Lord Villo, just now The Villo understood Clem's doubts and asked. A person's brain will limit most of their skills to prevent damage to their body. Just now you broke through part of the limit under my pressure, which is why your body is in so much pain. After taking a sip of the tea, Wu Ming put it down. Now, you should be able to control the release of this restriction. You should be able to sense it yourself. Yes, thank you very much for your guidance, Sir Villo. This humble one is eternally grateful. Well, Virgin, you have indeed become stronger. Although it was only for a moment. You should have reached the level of a platinum-level adventurer. Gedgeland said from the side. In this world, there was a profession called an adventurer. Wu Ming knew from the interrogation of the people from the Sunshine Holy Bible that adventurers were people who dealt with monsters. These people were similar to multi-purpose mercenaries, and were managed by the Adventurers Guild. The adventurers' level was differentiated by the rarity of the metal. The metal that symbolized their identity from lowest to highest were copper, iron, silver, gold, platinum, mithril, orichalcum, and stainless steel. Hearing this, Wu Ming reached out his hand, and a thin white knight's sword appeared in Wu Ming's hand. Then, how about adding this? Wu Ming tossed the knight's sword to Clem. This is stainless steel. Clem was confused. It's a pure stainless steel knight's sword. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. Although a small amount of stainless steel could increase the weapon's quality, no one would use pure stainless steel to forge a weapon. Moreover, with such a large piece of stainless steel, it was hard to say if they could find a blacksmith who could forge a pure stainless steel weapon. After all, stainless steel was the hardest metal in this world. How can I, Mr. Villo? I can't accept such a valuable weapon. Clem's expression was determined not to accept it, and Rose Song's expression was the same. After all, no one would be so nice for no reason. Okay, just accept it after all. I still have something to ask of Her Royal Highness. Of course, Mr. Villo. Everyone was confused, after all. Accepting a request without hearing it was strange no matter how they looked at it. But after thinking about it for a while, Hagrid felt relieved. Wu Ming also looked at Princess Lana in confusion, then seemed to have thought of something. It seems that Her Royal Highness Lana values Sir Clem a lot. Princess Lana just smiled sweetly. Of course, after all, I like Clem the most. Clem's young face blushed when he heard that. Then, Her Royal Highness Lana is not afraid that I will make a request that will harm the kingdom? You must be joking, as I said before. I believe that Mr. Villo who saved His Excellency the warrior is a good person. Wu Ming waved his hand. Forget about being a good person, I just thought that Gudjefu was a good person so I helped him. That's enough. Lana smiled. My request is simple, if you have any business in the future, please consider me first. No one in the conference room spoke. A moment later. Is that all, Mr. Villo? Princess Lana asked. That's all, how about it, can you accept it? Okay, no problem. But with such a small request, you let me accept such a valuable treasure. Clem was still a little unbalanced. It's okay, Clem, just accept it, this is a reward for your determination to protect. Wu Ming smiled. Yes, Mr. Villo, I will live up to your expectations, and I will use it well. Clem accepted it quite solemnly. Looking at Rose Song and the others present, Wu Ming looked at Princess Lana. Then that's it for today, I'll take my leave first. Wu Ming stood up. It's really a blessing to talk with you, Mr. Villo's thinking is really advanced. It couldn't be helped. Previously, Wu Ming was discussing business matters with Princess Lana. As they talked, the topic deviated from the main topic. They even talked about the country, policies and such. Wu Ming even expressed his own opinion, which made Princess Lana very surprised. After all, Wu Ming was a modern person, and his ideology and culture were definitely more advanced. Of course, Her Royal Highness Lana's opinion surprised me, as expected of the Golden Princess. After a while, Wu Ming and Annabelle began to leave. When they walked to the gate of the courtyard, one of Rose Song who came to see them off suddenly shouted, Mr. Wu Ming. Wu Ming paused after hearing it, but he recovered in an instant and continued to walk forward. Wait a minute, Mr. Villo. Chapter 46. Wu Ming turned his head and looked at the person who spoke. What can I do for you, Miss Ibiruai? Ibiruai did not speak. Gedgeland said quietly to Ibiruai. Hey, what's the matter, Ibiruai? Why did you suddenly stop him? Also, who is this Wu Ming that you called out earlier? After a pause, Ibiruai looked at her and said, Your Royal Highness, I would like to invite Sir Villo and Sir Gudjef to join the plan. Hey, Ibiruai, Gudjef is fine, but why do you want to invite the person you just met for the first time? Yes, Ibiruai, I don't agree with this idea. Wu Ming looked at her quietly and did not speak. It seems that Miss Vampire seems to know me. No, she knows Wu Ming. It shouldn't be, I just came to this world not long ago. How could she know me? I don't have a problem with Sir Villo, but Sir Villo has just met us, and I have received Sir Villo's favor. I really shouldn't bother Sir Villo. Princess Lana looked embarrassed. I don't have a problem with that, but let's talk about it tomorrow. Don't you have something to discuss? I will visit again tomorrow. Goodbye. Wu Ming and Annabelle left. Song Rose's leader, Hoggies, asked Ibiruai. Ibiruai, what's going on? Why do you care so much about that man? It's okay, let's discuss Hachiko with Her Royal Highness first. After saying that, she went into the room, leaving a few people who didn't know what to do. On the other side, Annabelle walked behind Wu Ming and asked, Do we need to get rid of that woman? No, I really want to know where she knew my name. Wu Ming touched his chin and thought. Strictly speaking, that bottle of red healing potion and the pressure I released to train Clem have the possibility of being exposed. But, even if I'm exposed as Wu Ming, how did she know this name? That Wu Ming just now carries a lot of weight. Well, let's go back to the hotel first. I want to contact Yair Bird. Yes, Sir Wuming. After discussing with Princess Lana, Song Rose's group left the princess's house. On the way back, Gedlin began to ask. What's going on, Irby Rue? You're making us very worried. Hagis, Hina, and Tia also looked at Ibirui. My apologies. I was just thinking of a benefactor of mine. Lord Varen. You look too much like him. Ibirui replied. Feeling Ibirui's loneliness, Song Rose's group sighed silently in their hearts. In the hotel, Wuming took out the scroll called Message and was ready to contact Yair Bird. Message was a long-range communication spell, which could also be said to be a skill. There was such a spell in the library, but Wuming didn't learn it. Message. Wuming put his hand on his temple and began to contact Yair Bird. Wuming-sama. Yair Bird, I have an accident here. Immediately recall Sebastian and Zaisha, and prohibit the members of Nasaric from going out. I'm very sorry, Wuming-sama, Zaisha betrayed us. What? Nazaric's underground tomb. A black and red circular hole appeared at the main entrance of Nazaric's surface. Wuming walked out of it. Annabelle was left in the Royal City Hotel by Wuming. Annabelle helped Wuming to refuse everything. The reason was that Wuming had some personal matters to deal with. Wuming stretched out his hand, and a ring appeared in his hand. After putting it on, Wuming launched instant transmission and disappeared. Between the thrones. Yair Bird was standing next to the throne, waiting quietly. Wuming instantly appeared between the thrones. Seeing Wuming, Yair Bird knelt on one knee. Wuming-sama. Get up quickly, Yair Bird. What's going on with Zaisha's betrayal? Yair Bird stood up, waved his hands in white silk gloves a few times in the air, and a crystal screen appeared in the air. Although Nasaric has been materialized, some mechanisms can still be digitized. For example, Yair Bird pulled up the list of Nazaric's guardians. Seeing Zaisha Bradford's name in bright red, Wuming asked. Is this the reason for Zaisha's betrayal? That's not the reason. When you left Nasaric, I told Zaisha and Sebastian to complete the information gathering as soon as possible. Zaisha has already returned ahead of time. However, when passing by Khan village, Zaisha seemed to have encountered an enemy. After that, I couldn't contact her. That's why I checked the list of guardians and learned of Zaisha's betrayal. Wuming sat on the throne, looked at Zaisha's bright red name, which was different from the other guardians' white names, and fell into deep thought. If I'm not mistaken, the enemy should be from the Celian theocracy. I deduced the same thing when I discussed with Demiurgos, but because of Lord Wuming's orders, I didn't send troops to Khan village to check. Send the highest level assassin to the vicinity of Khan village to check the situation. Understood. Yair Bedard left. A moment later, Yair Bedard returned to the throne. Lord Wuming, Zaisha is fully armed and stopped on the plains near Khan village. We sent our subordinates to question her, but Zaisha didn't answer as if she was unconscious. Our initial judgment is that Zaisha is under mind control. To be able to affect the undead who are immune to mind control, the other party has at least a world-class item, Wuming analyzed after pondering for a moment. Wuming frowned. Although Wuming was much stronger than these level 100 NPCs, if he could control Zaisha's mind, Wuming did not dare to say that it was ineffective against him. The 8-limb blade assassin bugs didn't find an ambush in the vicinity, but we can't be sure that the other party isn't monitoring Zaisha. Yair Bedard, what's the solution to being under mind control with a world-class item? Yair Bedard thought for a moment before replying. I'm afraid the only solution is to kill Zaisha and revive her. However, I can't guarantee that she will recover after being revived. Wuming fell into deep thought. As expected, mental labor isn't suitable for me. Yair Bedard. Yes. Gather the guardians. I have something to say. Understood. Soon, a group of guardians gathered in the throne hall, including Sebastian, who had already returned. Dear guardians, I'm sure all of you know that Zaisha is under mind control. Wuming said calmly. I want to ask, do you have a way to remove the mind control on Zaisha without killing her? Chapter 47. Looking at the silent guardians, Wuming thought to himself. It seems that I can only kill Zaisha. I'm very sorry, Wuming, Sama. We can't solve the problem for you. It's a crime worthy of death. Demiurgos said in a serious tone. Don't say that, Demiurgos. I'm too harsh. After all, that's the effect of a world-class item, and it's not so easy to remove. Wuming shook his head. First, I want to give you the world-class item. Wuming's words were shocking, and the guardians immediately knelt down and bowed their heads. Demiurgos, you know the reason, right? Demiurgos still knelt on one knee and bowed his head. Yes, Wuming, Sama. Wuming, Sama gave us the world-class item to prevent us from being affected by the enemy's world-class item. Wuming nodded. Demiurgos is still smart. With that, Wuming waved his hand. A sword, a cup, a large scroll, and a pair of gloves appeared in the air and fell to the hands of Cositas, Yuri, Mare and Demiurgos. Because Yerbade already has the world-class item Infernal Abyss, I won't give you the world-class item this time. Yes, Wuming-sama, Yerbade said with a regretful look. The names of these 4 items are Blade of Billions, Cup of Zaisha, Mountain River Map, and Avarice and Desireless. I will tell you how to use them and their effects after the meeting. Thank you, Wuming-sama, for giving us these treasures. We will not hesitate to go through fire and water for you. Several people said at the same time. One more thing, I'm going to fight Zaisha alone. How can that be, Wuming-sama? Please think twice, Wuming-sama. Wuming-sama. Silence. Wuming shouted. We can't be sure if the other party will suddenly use a teleportation spell to teleport over. Moreover, we can't guarantee our chances of victory if you guys go. Most importantly, you are like newborn children. I am someone who has accepted your loyalty. How can I let you kill each other? Lord Wuming, since you've already made your decision, as your subordinates, we shouldn't say anything more. However, please promise us that you'll return safely, Yerbade said. I agree. In Wuming's bedroom, Wuming placed many props in front of him. It feels like I'm raiding a dungeon. Seriously, how can someone like me, who has experienced many battles, be used to preparing for a one-on-one battle like a game? As mentioned before, after Nasarik transformed into a physical body, he retained some of his digitized parts. For example, Nazarik's members could use magic to detect a target's HP and MP, and Yair Abed could also manage Nasarik through the system. Sure enough, it's more suitable for me to fight directly. Can I determine if there are any players on the other side? At the end of the meeting, Demiurgos proposed that after a series of anti-teleportation spells, anti-detection spells, and other spells were placed near Satya, Wuming would fight Satya one-on-one. In Wuming's view, whether it was NPCs or players in Yggdrasil, their abilities were not strong. At least in Wuming's view, no one in Nasarik could defeat him without using special skills or items. The only hidden danger now was that he didn't know if the other party had any special items or skills. I can only say that it's a game. After all, without these special items or skills, the game would become boring. I guess so. After all, I don't play games very much. Wuming picked up the 2 rings in front of him and put them on his left and right fingers. The names of these 2 rings were Meteor Ring and Eternal Calamity Serpent Ring. Eternal Calamity Serpent Ring was one of the 20 world-class items. Because he wanted to guard against the opponent's world-class item effect, and because it was convenient to carry, Wuming chose this world-class item. In Yggdrasil, World Tree, the effect was to make a wish to the game company, and the effect could be extended to the whole game. Of course, whether the content of the wish could be approved was another matter. After transforming into a physical body, the effect of the ring became Make a Wish, a real wish. However, because of the special effect of disappearing and randomly appearing in a corner of the world after using it, Wuming didn't dare to use it casually. At most, he would only use it when he was in danger. Meteor Ring, on the other hand, could cast the super magic Wish to the stars, unconditionally. The effect had 3 weakened versions of the wish skill, and there were many restrictions. After 3 wishes were made, there would be a long cooldown period. It could be said that it was an item that could determine the winner. After all, Wuming didn't have many ultimate skills. Other than Yggdrasil, and X-Silver, Meteor Silver S Noble Phantasm, Wuming had no other skills that could be considered as his ultimate skill. Enkidu has been sleeping since he first came to this world. Most of the magic Wuming learned couldn't be used as ultimate skills. After all, the magic stored in the library was either magic books with a limited number of times or written materials that couldn't be learned. The skills Wu Ming learned, such as Dragon Thunder and Heavenly Fire, were useful against the natives, but they didn't have much effect on Xia, a level 100 NPC. Ah, my head hurts. Sure enough, I still haven't learned it well, master. Wu Ming remembered his master, Skaha, who could kill a god with just a magic spear and his own martial arts. Sure enough, I'm still too inexperienced. My bloodline ability is basically harmless. For example, Wu Ming's Origin Dragon bloodline ability, time travel adaptability, powerful physique, endless magic power, and transformation effect of Calamity Dragon. Suddenly, Wu Ming felt a message in his mind. Wu Ming put his hand on his temple. What's wrong, Yair Bade? Master Wu Ming, some humans who look like adventurers are approaching Xia. Understood. Stay put. I'll go check the situation. Master Wu Ming, don't you need guards? No, to avoid misunderstandings, you can continue to hide near Xia. Yes, master. Wu Ming disconnected the communication and lay on the bed. When it rains, it pours. I hope those adventurers can retreat on their own. As the portal closed, Wu Ming appeared on the plain near Khan village. So, those are the adventurers who are approaching? Wu Ming looked at the adventurers coming toward him. Wu Ming took out Yggdrasil and threw it into the air. After a while, Fun Baba appeared behind Wu Ming. Those adventurers also seemed to have seen Wu Ming and Fun Baba, and they all stopped for a while. 3 people who seemed to be captains came over. Are you the captains of the adventurers who came to crusade against the vampire? Yes, I'm Paroti from Sirius. These 2 are Moknak from Rainbow and Igvaki from Kralgla. May I ask who you are? A young man with a determined look said. I'm the vampire's summoner. Because of an accident, I lost control. Please go back. This is not something you can intervene in. But, even if you say so. Paroti had a troubled expression on his face. Don't waste your breath on him. Igvaki said. Who knows, maybe he's actually here to steal our credit. He thinks that he can do whatever he wants just because he has a good-looking magical beast. To be honest, Fun Baba was not tall, and it looked gentle, but it did not mean that Fun Baba would not kill. Fun Baba raised its leg, and in an instant, a huge man-eating flower appeared at Igvaki's feet. In an instant, Igvaki was eaten by the man-eating flower before he could even make a sound. Paroti and Moknak put their hands on their weapons with a solemn expression. I'm in a bad mood. Persuading you to leave is for your own good. Do you have to make an example of me? Wu Ming released the aura of a giant dragon. The wind pressure caused by his aura overturned the adventurers in the distance, and Paroti and Moknak in front of him were unconscious. Wu Ming slowly retracted his aura. Ever since Silent Wonder turned into a dragon, he had mastered an invisible pressure similar to draconic aura. This could be considered a blessing in disguise. Looking at the hurried and orderly retreat, Wu Ming turned around and walked towards Satya. Chapter 48. Looking at Satya, who was wearing red armor and holding a strange spear, Wu Ming couldn't help but think of Satya's information. Fortunately, I checked Satya's information, equipment, and skills before. I have to deal with Satya quickly. Satya's armor was legendary level armor, and her weapon was a divine artifact level special weapon, Dropper Spear. Dropper Spear could heal itself by inflicting damage to the opponent in a certain proportion, which could be said to be a miracle in a protracted battle. According to the information, Satya also had a resurrection item. In that case, I have to kill Satya twice. Sigh, I really don't want to experience killing my subordinates again. When Wu Ming was a knight, he once had a subordinate who was infected by a monster. At his subordinate's request, Wu Ming had to kill him. Wu Ming, Sama, hearing that voice, Wu Ming looked at his arm. Enkidu, are you awake? Well, because Wu Ming Sama is upset, I woke up to see if there is any way to help you. Ah, I appreciate your kindness, but I don't think you can do anything about it. Wu Ming couldn't find any other way to remove Satya's mind control other than killing her. Wu Ming, Sama, maybe I can give it a try. Oh really, little Enkidu? Wu Ming was so excited that he called out Wu Ming's pet name for Enkidu. Yes, Wu Ming, Sama, I was originally a chain connecting heaven and earth. Of course, I have a way to break the chain. If possible, Wuming Sama can connect me to Satya, and I should be able to remove the negative effect. But little Enkidu, why didn't I know you have this ability? Wuming asked strangely. After all, Wuming was also a Uruk native, and he knew about the heaven lock. It's strange. After I came to this world with Wuming Sama, I began to change, which is why I fell into a deep sleep. I'm sorry, little Enkidu. There is no way to lift the curse on your body. When Enkidu was cursed by the gods, Wuming only took away Enkidu's soul, and his body was indeed dead. Therefore, Enkidu couldn't show his body, and could only accompany Wuming in the form of heaven lock. It's all right, Lord Wuming. Enki is very happy to be able to be tied to Lord Wuming like this. Wuming touched Enkidu hidden on his arm and didn't say anything. Little Enkidu, my first battle in this world. Let's go. Yes. Wuming Sama. High-level item creation. A white light flashed, and a white armor appeared on Wuming's body. That was the silver dragon armor that Wuming used in Britain. Fun Baba. Woo! Fun Baba changed, and a silver-white spear flew in the air. As if it was calculated, Wuming stretched out his hand and firmly grabbed the spear. Yggdrasil. The silver-white spear slowly melted like liquid, attached to Wuming's left hand, forming a silver-white left-hand armor. Then Wuming stretched out his hand, and a white hole appeared on the right side of his body, and the hilt of a sword slowly came out of it. Wuming held the hilt with his right hand and pulled it out. The silver-white holy sword appeared in Wuming's right hand. Heavenly fire. The white flame attached to the silver holy sword. Then I'll start first, Satya. Wuming held the sword with both hands and raised it above his head. Although it was daytime, there was a trace of starlight in the sky, and the starlight began to gather on the sword. EX. Silver. Meteor. Silver. The white holy sword gathered the light, and the moment the real name was shouted, the light overflowed. A huge silver-white beam of light rose into the sky, and the silver-white beam of light continued to expand, covering a few kilometers in an instant. 1/3 of the nearby forest was destroyed, and Khan village was almost affected. Gradually, the light disappeared, revealing the ground that was more than 10 meters deep as if it was baptized by a nuclear bomb. The guardians in the conference hall who watched with a long-end perspective mirror were surprised. It's comparable to the destructive power of supreme magic. As expected of Wuming Sama. Demiurgos pushed his glasses and said with a trembling voice. That seems to be the attack launched by Wuming Sama's weapon. Is it a world-class item owned by Wuming Sama? Cositas opened his mouth. Cositas, who had dozens of weapons, could clearly see that this wasn't Wuming's skill, but a weapon. Such a powerful blow as expected of my lover Wuming Sama. Yair Bey did not show her infatuation side, but with a rather calm expression. Satya Sama shouldn't be able to withstand Wuming Sama's attack. It should be Wuming Sama's victory. Although Sebastian was a level 100 NPC, he still called the guardians Sama. Yuz and Mare, who were on the edge of a nearby cliff, were covered in dust. Phew, that was close, we were almost finished. Wuming Sama is really powerful. Isn't he, sister? That's right. If Yuz and Mare had not activated their special skills in time, they might have ended up like Satya. Wuming looked at X Silver, Meteor Silver, and scratched his head awkwardly. I accidentally used too much magic power, ha, ha ha, ha ha ha. What should I say, Lord Wuming? Enkidu, who was on Wuming's left arm, sighed. I can't help it. Ever since I turned back into a dragon, I haven't used my noble artifact. Who knew that its power would increase so much? This was also the bloodline advantage of the root dragon, the qualitative increase in magic power. The same magic power, but the current one was much purer than before. She should be fine. Satya. Just as Wuming was discussing Satya, a burst of laughter was heard. Ha 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 ha, isn't this Lord Wuming? As expected of the supreme Wuming, Lord Wuming, who killed me instantly. Fortunately, I still have a resurrection item. Lord Wuming, ha 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 ha. Sure enough, I've already killed Satya once. What a big mistake. Since I turned into a dragon, the quality of my magic power has greatly improved. Coupled with the bonus of the Tier 9 spell, Heavenly Fire, the power of X Silver's noble artifact is really amazing. Wu Ming shook his head and looked at Satya with his eyes hidden under the helmet. I'm sorry, Satya. I accidentally killed you. No, Lord Wu Ming, you don't need to apologize, because you just need to let me kill you. Ha ha ha. Looking at Satya, who was laughing wildly, Wu Ming couldn't help but think. Is he really mentally ill? If that's the case. Xiaofan! Yes! The silver chain appeared on Wu Ming's left gauntlet, and the chain seemed to be endless, shooting towards Satya. Such a simple attack, Lord Wu Ming, why did you use it? Satya instantly used the flying ability of her armor to avoid the entanglement of Enkidu. Is that so, Satya? What about this? The sound of chains colliding could be heard as white holes similar to spatial doors appeared in the air around Satya, surrounding her. Greater teleport. Don't even think about it. Wu Ming was already prepared. Wu Ming instantly tore the scroll from Dragonist. What? Greater teleport doesn't work. Is it dimensional lock? Yes, it's dimensional lock that can restrain teleport. Enkidu. In an instant, Enkidu extended from each white space and bound Satya. Damn it! Einherjar! As Satya chanted the spell, a white light flew out of Satya's body. After the white light took shape, it was a figure exactly the same as Satya, but this figure was completely white. Einherjar summoned by this skill only had the physical ability of the original body, and it could not use magic or skills. Einherjar rushed toward Wu Ming, but Satya knew very well that Einherjar was no match for Wu Ming. Struggling to break free from Enkidu, Satya activated magic essence and began to check Wu Ming's magical power. What she saw was a huge amount of magical power gushing out like a bottomless pit. As expected of the supreme being of the great underground tomb of Nasaric. You can be said to be an invincible existence, Lord Wu Ming. On the other side, Wu Ming activated another noble phantasm. Noble phantasm liberation. Yggdrasil. A large number of branches quickly grew from Wu Ming's left hand, entangling Satya's Einherjar. Absorb. Yggdrasil. The Einherjar gradually faded until it completely disappeared. So, what should you do now, Satya? Chapter 49. Ah, Wu Ming-sama, what kind of artifact is this chain of yours? I even used Impure Impact Shield, but I still couldn't break your shackles. Although she said that, Zacia's expression was very anxious. Enkidu, let's start. Try to get in touch with Satya's mind control. Yes, Master Wu Ming. The silver-white chain wrapped around Satya began to glow, and Satya struggled and screamed in pain. Ah! Listening to Satya's screams, Wu Ming couldn't help but clench his fists. Although Wu Ming hadn't been in charge of Nasaric for long, not even a month, Wu Ming was very fond of his subordinates, who were like newborn babies. Since he gained benefits, he had to bear the responsibility. That was what Wu Ming thought when he became the ruler of Nasaric. Now, Wu Ming has regarded the people of Nasaric as his family, friends, and children. Wu Ming called it a trip, and to put it bluntly, he was homeless. Although it was a short time, compared to living in the strange outside world, Nasaric, which was full of monsters, gave Wu Ming a sense of belonging. After all, Wu Ming was not human. After a while, Satya fainted, and the chain stopped glowing. How is it, little Enkidu? Should be, okay. Wu Ming heard Enkidu's voice and felt something was wrong, so he quickly asked. What's wrong, little Enkidu? Are you okay? I'm fine. Master Wu Ming. I'm still not used to the changes in Enkidu. Plus I forced myself to wake up before. I might fall asleep again. Sorry. Master Wu Ming. It's okay, little Enkidu, you don't have to apologize. I'm really lucky to have you by my side. Enkidu didn't say anything else. Sensing the weakening of Enkidu's mana, Wu Ming knew that Enkidu had fallen asleep again. Wu Ming jumped up and hugged the unconscious Satya. He stroked Satya's face and said, Go to sleep, everything will be fine. As if she had heard him, Xiaotaya's slightly nervous face gradually relaxed. Nasaric Conference Room. As expected, Sir Wu Ming's victory is beyond doubt. Cositas exhaled a breath of cold air as he spoke. It seems that I don't need to prepare materials for Satya's revival. As expected of Lord Wuming. Dimagos adjusted his glasses. Regardless of whether Wuming had come into contact with Satya's mind control, he had already captured Satya alive, so there was no need to prepare for her resurrection. Then, let's welcome the master that we will serve forever, guardians, said Yerbade. Pardon my rudeness, but I won't be going. I have to prepare food for the returning Lord Wuming. I remember that Lord Wuming strongly requested not to eat potatoes last time. I have to inform the chef. With that, Sebastian bowed and left. Wuming landed on the ground with the unconscious Satya in his arms. He looked at Yal and Malay who were walking toward him. I'm sorry, Yal, Malay. I didn't hurt you just now, did I? It's okay, it's okay. I didn't expect Lord Wuming, who had been keeping a low profile in Nasarick, to be so powerful. And powerful. And gentle. Wuming smiled and shook his head. I'm still far from that. You must know that no matter what, there's no end to it. To be honest, Wuming didn't expect a noble artifact to be so powerful. After all, Wuming didn't use a noble artifact many times. The few times that he did, it was because his opponent also used a noble artifact or because his opponent was unmatched without a noble artifact. Thinking about it carefully, it wasn't strange. Noble artifacts were known as the trump cards of heroic spirits. Putting aside the strength of heroic spirits, just the word trump card showed the importance of a noble artifact. By the way, Yal. Wuming looked at Yal and asked, the anti-detection magic is working, right? Yes, Lord Wuming. Although Lord Wuming's attack destroyed most of the magic, I repaired it in time, so there's no problem. Then, as if he thought of something, Wuming said to Malay, don't make any changes to the traces of the battle here. It can serve as a deterrent. Yes, Lord Wuming. Then let's go. Yes, Lord Wuming. X2, between the thrones, in the audience hall. Yerbade, Demiugos, Cositas, Sebastian, and the others had been waiting for a long time. Wuming carried Xiaotaya while the Dark Elf twins followed behind him. Lord Wuming, congratulations on your victorious return. Looking at the guardians including the twins, who were kneeling on one knee, Wuming said, rise, guardians. Yes, Lord Wuming. Yerbade, check Xiaotaya's status. Yes, Lord. Yerbade slid his finger in the air and opened a virtual window. Yerbade slid his finger. When he saw Xiaotaya's name turn from red to white, he heaved a sigh of relief. There's no problem, Lord Wuming. Xiaotaya's name has turned white. How about this? Bring Xiaotaya to the room on the 9th floor to rest. During this time, arrange for many monsters above level 90 to guard her and set up many magic traps to prevent Xiaotaya from going berserk. This, Lord Wuming, to let the servants step into the residence of the supreme beings. Yerbade had an inappropriate expression. It's fine. The other supreme beings won't blame you. Carry out the order. Yes, Lord. Speaking of which, it was strange. Ever since Wuming came to Nasarick, the 9th floor of Nazarik's underground graveyard had been deserted. No, it should be said that this was more befitting of the graveyard's name. In fact, there were quite a lot of people on the 9th floor. There were 41 level 1 android maids, as well as a group of service staff in bars, restaurants, and hot springs. However, these people only moved around in their own areas and never came out. Thus, only the guardians were left to move around freely. In fact, it was also because each floor of Nasarick was too big. Perhaps it was because Wuming and Nasarick had temporarily fused. Nasarick was not as big as the information indicated. Instead, it was much bigger than the information indicated. Other than the surface of Nasarick, which did not change much, the 1st to 10th floors of Nasarick had expanded a lot. According to Wuming's speculation, the largest floor was even comparable to the size of a city. I'm a little tired. Let's go back and rest. Sebastian, is the food ready? Of course, Lord Wuming. It's all ready. I also specially told the chef to reject all potato products. Speaking of potatoes, Wuming recalled the fear of being dominated by Gawain in Britain. Well done, Sebastian. For the supreme beings, I won't hesitate. Following the conversation, Wuming and Sebastian stepped into the restaurant. Chapter 50. Wu Ming looked at the ceiling as he lay on the bed and covered himself with a blanket. Seriously, it's tough being the ruler of Nasarick. Is that why I can't be a king? Because of Satya's incident, Wu Ming fell into deep thought. Well, I finally know the difficulties of Maeve, Lia, and Gil. Wu Ming raised his right hand and looked at the ring of Ain's Wurgong on his finger. Ain's Wurgong. I'm now the king of the devil creatures. To think that I, the holy root dragon, have become the king of the devil creatures. Not bad, he he he. Wu Ming put down his hand and closed his eyes. Sleep, sleep. I must fully enjoy this beautiful moment. Just like that, Wu Ming fell asleep under the protection of the devil creatures. The next day, in the audience hall between the thrones. Looking at the empty hall, Wu Ming spoke in boredom. In that case, although Satya's mind control has been lifted, there's still a trace of a problem? Wu Ming sat on the throne and leaned sideways against the back of the throne. He supported his face with his right hand and looked as if he had not slept well. It's called a problem, but it's just that after Satya woke up, she remembered that she fought against the Supreme Honorable and felt ashamed, Yarebird said. In that case, give Satya an appropriate punishment. Wu Ming scratched his cheek. As expected of the Supreme Honorable. Our master is a great being who rewards and punishes clearly. Yarebird knelt on one knee and placed his right hand on his heart. Get up, Yarebird. Speaking of which, does Satya have any information on the enemy? Even the slightest bit would be good. At this point, Wu Ming's lazy gaze became like a terrifying beast and emitted a dangerous aura. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Because of your special item, Satya still retains her original memory. In the report submitted by Satya, it is very likely that the other party is from Celian Theocracy. Yarebird stood up and crossed his hands on his abdomen. The other party appeared near Khan village where Lord Wu Ming dealt with Sunshine Grimoire, and according to Satya, the other party is a faith magic chanter. In addition, the other party has a world-class item that we don't know about that can even affect the undead who are immune to mind control. The other party is probably a special unit of Celian Theocracy, the Dark Grimoire. The Dark Grimoire? It seems to be mentioned in the information extracted from the Sunshine Grimoire's Captain Negan. Wu Ming looked at Yarebird. 600 years ago, the six gods suddenly appeared, led human beings to establish a country, protected human beings, and left behind treasures. Wu Ming stood up and stretched his body. Maybe the so-called six great gods are actually Yggdrasil's players, and the so-called treasure is actually Yggdrasil's item. If that's the case, then it's not unacceptable that the other party has a world-class item that can even control a level 100 NPC's mind. Wu Ming stood in front of the throne with his hands on his chest and closed his eyes as if he was thinking about something. Well, let Sebastian go and meet with Annabelle. Sebastian will announce to the public that he is my butler. Well, let Sebastian and Annabelle work together to help Golden Princess and Rose Tsongwei. If necessary, they can show their strength without revealing Nazarik's information. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. So that's how it is. Lord Wu Ming wants to control that country? It seems that I have to discuss it with Demiugos. Yarebird thought. Also, let Demiugos and Yair go to the southwest of the kingdom. There is a country called Holy Kingdom there. Try to get involved with that country and let Demiugos act according to the circumstances. Try not to be too ostentatious. As for the humans you meet, don't hurt those with integrity. Deal with the scum on your own. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Do you have any other orders? Yarebird asked. Well, Sebastian is in charge of everything in the kingdom, including killing people. You must follow Sebastian's judgment. Demiugos is in charge of everything in the Holy Kingdom. Try not to kill people. Yes, Lord Wu Ming, I will pass the message. After Yarebird left, Wu Ming also began to move. Celian Theocracy. I'll meet you. Wu Ming once again showed that kind of excited smile. This time, Wu Ming was going to go to the Theocracy alone. Because he was afraid that Yarebird would object, Wu Ming didn't even say anything. As for the reason for going to the Theocracy, first, he must ask for an explanation about Zatia's matter. Second, Wu Ming was now very interested in the Celian Theocracy. To be on the safe side, Wu Ming also deliberately pulled up the information in his mind to see if there were any world-class items with special abilities. On the Kaz plain, A huge green monster was running constantly. Wu-ming rode on the back of Fan Baba. Sigh, I'm sorry to always let you be my means of transportation, Fan Baba. Wu. Yes, I know, I will let you move more in the future. After crossing the Kaz plain, Wu-ming entered the theocracy's border. After a series of inspections, Wu-ming successfully entered the Xilian theocracy. After inquiring about the location of the Xilian theocracy's capital from the old man, he rushed there. In a hotel in the Xilian theocracy's capital, Wu-ming was still looking through some of the information in his mind. World's will, it is said that as long as you have it, you will always become stronger. Is it true or not? Devastating beauty can forcibly control one's mind. Well, it seems that this should be what controlled Zatia. Holy Slayer's lance can completely delete the target character's data. There is no other way except for using world-class items with resurrection effect. This is more dangerous, after all, I don't know if this thing has any effect on me. Just when Wu-ming was still thinking, a large number of people with a trace of hostility appeared in Wu-ming's perception range. Ha! Did they find me so soon? As expected of the Xilian theocracy with world-class items. In fact, Wu-ming didn't hide his aura at all. Even ordinary people will find that Wu-ming has a sense of oppression, let alone the elites who can stay in the capital. Since they are already here, I have to go out and meet them. Wu-ming got up and walked downstairs slowly. On the empty street where the crowd has been evacuated, Wu-ming put on the knight's armor that he created with high-grade item creation, and looked at the other party's leader hidden under the helmet. It was a young man with a gun, who seemed to be a teenager. So, what can I do for you? Wu-ming asked. Excuse me, are you Wu-ming, Sama, Root Dragon King? Chapter 51. Hearing the other party's question, Wu-ming did not answer but fell into deep thought. What's going on? Not only did Biruai know that Wu-ming was looking for someone, but he also suspected that I'm Wu-ming. The people in the theocracy also know, but I just arrived in this world not long ago. Wu-ming looked at the young man who asked the question in front of him. What about you? Who are you? Wu-ming declined the other party's question implicitly. I'm the lead disciple of Dark Scripture in Xilian Theocracy. Codename is Dark Scripture, Wu-ming, Sama. Seeing the other party bowed politely, Wu-ming spoke again. So, Dark Boy, you know about the vampire near Yolanta, right? Yes, Wu-ming, Sama, we found it when we passed by there, and we lost 3 people because of it. Very well, that's my subordinate. Don't you want to explain? Dark Scripture's lead disciple clearly perceived that the other party was constantly exuding a dragon-like pressure to the surroundings. I'm sorry, Wu-ming, Sama, because you disappeared for too long, so we don't know much about your new subordinate. Please forgive us. New subordinate? Do I have any old subordinates? Wu-ming's expression did not change at all, but his heart was already in a mess. Okay, then take my blow. As he spoke, Wu-ming took out X silver, Meteor Silver, from Dragonist, Dragon's Nest, and raised it above his head with one hand. In an instant, a large amount of starlight gathered from the endless blue sky into the sword. Wu-ming, Sama, please calm down. The lead disciple shouted nervously at Wu-ming, and the young man's subordinates also picked up their weapons, although they didn't have much effect. At the same time, they also sent a message to the higher-ups of Xilian Theocracy. Take this sword that's comparable to supreme magic, and I will leave. With that, the light on the holy sword stopped gathering. Shine. Meteor. X silver, Meteor Silver. The dazzling diamond-like starlight instantly drowned out the pitch-black scripture and also drowned out the tall building in the center of the capital that Wu-ming was aiming at, the main church. A large number of citizens of the Xilian cult's capital were temporarily blinded by the bright starlight. A moment later, after the white light, the pitch-black cannon and the large number of theocracy personnel in front of Wu-ming had disappeared. However, Wu-ming did not feel the sacred sword sweeping past them. He assumed that the sacred sword had used a legendary spell. Looking at the dilapidated Syrian church, Wu-ming said calmly, "Can you defend against one of my attacks? Although I didn't use much strength." With that, Wu-ming turned around and prepared to leave the capital of the Xilian cult. Due to Wu-ming's deliberate control, other than the street and the church in front of Wu-ming being destroyed, the residential buildings were not damaged at all. As expected, due to the release of my dragon body in advance, the precision of my magic power control has increased by quite a bit. Wuming took out Yggdrasil and aimed it at the sky. A green energy began to spread throughout the entire capital of the Seal Yen cult. No matter what, it's because of me that you have all been indirectly blinded. I'm really sorry. A large amount of life force was injected into the bodies of all the citizens in the capital. This should be enough. It's time to go. At that moment, Wuming felt that something had locked onto him. Wuming turned around and saw a huge light spear flying out from the destroyed church. Wuming frowned. He could feel the threat of the light spear, but it was not serious. A world-class tool? A large number of thick trees surged up from the ground and formed a wooden wall. The light spear pierced through the wooden wall layer by layer without any decrease in strength. The light spear completely pierced through the wooden wall and hit Wuming directly. The light spear turned into a light film, enveloping Wuming, and Wuming's body began to disappear. Just when the Seal Yen cult's higher-ups hiding in the ruins of the church relaxed, the light film shattered. The shattered light turned into a little golden light and dissipated into the air. This should be the Holy Slayer's lance. Wuming looked at his hand that was not wearing a single ring and smiled. Sure enough, even without a world-class tool, a mere game tool can't destroy me as the root dragon. After all, the adult root dragon's roots in time were its home. How could a mere tool transformed from a game into reality affect Wuming? Even if Wuming was an underage root dragon. Wuming looked at the Seal Yen cult's higher-ups as if he could see through the wall. So, here comes the revenge. Wuming raised Yggdrasil and wanted to release its real name. At that moment, Wuming seemed to hear something and put away Yggdrasil. You're lucky. After saying that, Wuming left the capital of Seal Yen cult without looking back, leaving behind a group of confused residents who felt as if they were in a dream and a group of terrified higher-ups. After Wuming left the capital of Seal Yen cult, he immediately moved to the northwest. After tearing the flight scroll, Wuming flew into the sky and flew toward the Ristage kingdom. Soon Wuming arrived at the sky above the kingdom, but Wuming did not stop and continued to move toward the northwest of the kingdom. That was the most northwest country on the continent, known as the Agrand Kingdom. It was a country built by the demi-humans, located in the north of the Ristage kingdom, northwest of the continent. It had a long history and strong national power. It was said that there were 5 or 7 dragons as counselors. The reason Wuming returned here was because someone had sent a message to Wuming through message magic. Come to the Agrand Kingdom, partner. I will tell you everything you have doubts about. Wuming sensed the message and map left behind by the other party and arrived at a cave. After entering the cave, Wuming found a teleportation magic circle in the deepest part of the cave. Wuming activated the magic circle. After a flash of white light, Wuming found himself in a large palace, as if he had been in the palace of Babylon. And on a huge platform in front of Wuming, a huge white dragon was lying on it. Are you the one who called me? The dragon raised its head and looked at Wuming. Sure enough, you don't know me at this time, partner. Judging by your tone, we are very close, Wuming asked. Ha ha, of course, we are partners who have gone through life and death together. No, master. This surprised Wuming. Then, let me guess, is it because of the time travel magic? As expected of you, partner. According to the you I know, you came from 700 years later. 700 years later? Wuming was puzzled. As far as I know, the 6 great gods from 600 years ago, the 8 desires king from 500 years ago, the demon god from 200 years ago, and the 13 heroes should all be transmigrators. The dragon said to Wuming. Yes, that's right. You told me that back then. And there were other transmigrators 400 years ago, 300 years ago, and 100 years ago, but their strength and character were inferior, and they were all destroyed by us. Wuming looked at the dragon. This is really interesting. What about me? Did I leave? To be precise, you left 100 years ago. Except for the era of the 6 great gods, the 8 desires king, and the 13 heroes when you woke up, the rest of the time you were asleep because you were about to leave your childhood. Then I'm going to be an adult. Wuming was a little excited. After all, the root dragon's childhood was too long ago. The dragon smiled. No, you've entered your youth. That's what you said yourself. For a moment, Wuming felt like the world was joking. Let's not talk about this first. Why did you stop me from destroying the silent theocracy? And why did you call me here today? To tell me my future? Unfortunately, you guessed wrong. Neither. There was a smug smile on the dragon's face. It was an expression of, you finally have something you can't guess. I'm going to return the uninscribed book to you today. Chapter 52. Uninscribed Incantation Book? Wuming was puzzled. Yes, this is what you entrusted me to give to you now when I first met you, partner. The dragon opened its mouth, and a glowing sphere flew out of the dragon's mouth. It was a book, a slightly quaint and mysterious book with black and red decorations. Wuming looked at the book with some disgust. Will it have your bad breath? The dragon instantly felt powerless. Hurry up and take it, and then hurry up. Really, I'm going to sleep. Wuming held the book and watched as the giant dragon lowered its head. It was as if it had fallen asleep and did not make a sound. What a strange temper. No wonder it sleeps alone in this broken place. When Silent Wonder saw the word V appear above the dragon's head, he stood on the teleportation array and left the area. After a while, the dragon raised its head and looked at the teleportation circle where Wuming left. What a mysterious master. After that, it fell asleep again. Walking out of the cave, Wuming looked at the two of them reading the book in their hands, and he didn't know what they were thinking. By the way, I haven't asked the dragon's name yet. Forget it, let's talk about it later. Anyway, I will definitely meet it again. Portal. Wuming directly opened the portal connecting to Nasarik and walked in. The portal's range must be a place he has been to, or a place he has seen, or an image in his mind, otherwise, it couldn't be used. But in a sense, the portal was also a unique skill. After all, as long as there was an image of that place in his mind, he could teleport at will, which could be regarded as a bug-like skill. Back to the 10th floor of Nasarik. Between the throne, in the audience hall. Walking out of the portal, Wuming sat on the throne, opened the uninscribed incantation book given by the dragon, and began to read the book. This book would turn to a specific page according to the user's thoughts. That was to say, the user didn't need to turn the pages by himself. Shortly after Wuming read it, the door of the audience hall opened. As the door opened, a large number of Nasarik personnel poured into the audience hall. This gave Wuming a fright. Lord Wuming. Lord Wuming, where have you been? Lord Wuming, we were very worried about you. Looking at the worried expressions of the guardians, Wuming sighed. I'm sorry for going out without telling you. It's my fault for making you worry. Wuming's apology made the guardians and the magical creatures they brought in tremble. They quickly knelt on one knee and lowered their heads. How could that be? Lord Wuming, we spoke rudely to you, but you didn't punish us. Instead, you apologized to us. This is the fault of us guardians. Please punish us, Lord Wuming, Yerbade said. Please punish us, Lord Wuming, the other guardians and monsters said in unison. Wuming smiled helplessly. These guys were good at everything, but they were too loyal. They couldn't tolerate any disrespect to him. Then our previous mistakes will cancel each other out. Looking at Yerbade, who seemed to want to object, Wuming said again, It's settled, no objections. Yes, Lord Wuming. So. Wuming picked up the uninscribed book in his hand and ordered everyone in front of him. Guardians, gather in the conference room, the rest of you are free to do whatever you want. Yes, Lord Wuming. A moment later, in the conference room, Wuming sat on the office chair, supporting his head with his right hand on the large desk. Sebastian. Yes, Lord Wuming. Sebastian bent over and put his hand on his heart. How is the kingdom's situation? Master Wuming, the thing that Golden Princess wanted to ask you to do is to eradicate Hachiko, an underground organization that integrates smuggling, drugs, slave trading, assassinations, bodyguards, and other activities. It is said that they have infiltrated the kingdom. After seeing the power of Nasarik, Golden Princess and Rose Tsongwei entrusted me and Annabelle to eliminate Hachiko. They offered a high price, and with your permission, I helped them eliminate Hachiko. Sebastian looked at Wuming and said, Actually, Lord Wuming, there is one thing I didn't ask for your permission. It's okay, Sebastian, you can say it now. Wuming crossed his hands and put them on his chin. I saved a girl during the crusade against Hachiko, and I want to take her back to Nasarick. Oh, did she agree? Wu Ming asked. Yes, Lord Wu Ming, she has no home. Although she still has a younger sister, she doesn't want to remember the past because of psychological reasons. She also asked you to let Qialiai live in Nasarick. I agree, Sebastian, but how about letting her be a maidservant? It's all up to Lord Wu Ming, Sebastian said. That's it. Sebastian, you will convey the message to Qialiai, and at the same time, inform all Nasarick. I now appoint Qialiai as Sebastian's personal maidservant, and at the same time, revoke your position as the captain of the Pleiades star cluster and let Li Alpha be the acting captain. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Thank you for your generosity, Lord Wu Ming. Sebastian bowed deeply. Also, I'll arrange something for you later. That's all for now. Demi-Yugos, how are you doing in the Holy Kingdom? Yes, Lord Wu Ming. I set up a farm at the border of the Holy Kingdom. I caught a large number of animals to test the scroll, and the result was very successful. Demi-Yugos knelt on one knee and said to Wu Ming. Animals? Well, Demi-Yugos, your demons should be able to see the good and evil in people's hearts. Let go of the good, and keep the evil, understand? Wu Ming thought for a moment and realized that Demi-Yugos was talking about animals. After all, Wu Ming never heard of a large number of demonic beasts near the Holy Kingdom. There were only many types of demi-humans. Of course, Lord Wu Ming, because you like humans and good people, I deliberately avoided these people when I caught them. Demi-Yugos pushed his glasses. Well done, Demi-Yugos, get up. As a reward, I will give you this. At the moment when Demi-Yugos got up, Wu Ming threw the ring of An's Ergong to Demi-Yugos. This is the ring of An's Ergong. Lord Wu Ming, this is a supreme treasure that only the Supreme One can wear. How can I? Well, Demi-Yugos, accept it. This is your reward, understand? Yes. Lord Wu Ming. I will go through fire and water for Nasarick in the future. Well, y'all, I heard that you found a lizard man village on the way back? Yes. Lord Wu Ming. Y'all raised his hand and said. Then, Cositas. Yes, Lord. Cositas exhaled cold air. Although the lizard men are useless to Nasarick, I want to see your ability, Cositas. You will go and subdue the lizard men. Yes. Lord Wu Ming. I will complete your task. But remember, you and your men don't fight in the first battle. I will send some soldiers to follow you. Only these soldiers can be used in the first battle. Remember? Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Yes. Lord Wu Ming. Well, you go and cancel Nazarik's external camouflage. I will provide you with a magic array. You can use the magic on this magic array to camouflage Nasarick. After that, Wu Ming opened the uninscribed book. As Wu Ming thought, the book turned automatically and stopped at a certain page. High-level item creation. A blueprint with a high-level camouflage magic array appeared in front of Wu Ming. I'll leave it to you, Mare. Yes, I will not let Lord Wu Ming down. Then, Satya. Yes, Lord. Seeing Satya's sad face, Wu Ming said. I've decided to punish you. That you're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.